Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new to my channel, please check out my How I Became a Targeted Individual video link series. At this point, y'all, for those of you that are not new, I'm calling it a series because I know that it's 3 different videos where you can hear how I became targeted. So I don't know, it just seems simpler to categorize it as a series, even though that's not technically what it is. And if you're new, please check out, like I said, one of those 3 video links in the comment section or the description box. The first link links to my How I Became a Targeted Individual full story, and that video is about a 12-hour long, 7-part video compilation of me just not only talking about how I became targeted in 2020, but also some of the events leading up to my targeting. It's been about a decade since my early 20s of crazy, weird trials and tribulations. And it's now culminated in me becoming a targeted individual in 2020. So it's been about 3 years and change of me being targeted. So the full story, if you check it out, like I said, not only talks about what started the targeting, but also gives you the backdrop story. The reason the video was so long is because, like I told you all just now, it's a 7-part video compilation. So I sat there at several different times and created 7 different video clips, and then I put them together in one video, telling my whole story. So it's not meant to be watched in one sitting. So take your time if you have the time and the patience and are willing to listen. And please hear me out and listen to my story, because it makes, a lot of the things that I have said in recent videos will make a lot more sense if you hear the full story. However, if you don't watch the full story and you watch the 2 other video links I'm about to talk about, you'll still get the gist of what started my targeting, and you'll have a good idea of what's going on even still. So that's the only video that I'm on camera for out of those 3 videos. No, incorrect. There are 2 videos that I'm on camera for out of my 3 How I Became a Targeted Individual video series. So the full story, I'm on camera. The second video link that I'm about to talk about, I'm on camera as well. And that's titled, you can see it on the screen, Commentating over clip from my story that shares how I became a targeted individual. And that video, y'all, is literally a screen recording of the part of my full story video where I talk specifically about what started my targeting. So I basically went into my full story video, the 12-hour video compilation, and I went to the part of the video where I talked about what started my targeting, and I did a screen recording of that section of the video. And I also provided commentary over the screen recording. And that was done about 2 months ago, So it's up to date. I've also included extra details. So you're getting more information than you will from the third video link that I'm about to reference. So the third video link, I'm not on camera for, and it's titled How I Became a Targeted Individual Summary. And I created that around the same time that I created the full story. And I just created that for those of you that don't have the time to sit there for 12 hours and dedicate that much time to listening to somebody talk about themselves. I totally get it if you don't have the time. But at the same time, we're all in this community together. Typically, my audience, is comprised of targeted individuals. Of course, gang stalkers watch too. But the people that I'm actually creating the content for, typically you're targeted. So I've had many targets actually sit through my full story and provide commentary about it, and I appreciate that. So I know that, there are those of you that will listen, and it is an interesting story. I know I sound biased saying that because it's my story, so of course I would say that, but it really is an interesting story. But if you don't have the time, I understand that, and this is why I created the summary. So the summary video link is the third video link in the series. I'm not on camera for that one. And I basically just summarize what started my targeting, and I negate a lot of the backdrop details. Not all of them. I do include some of the backdrop story, but not everything. It's nothing like the full story or even the commentating over a clip video. Because like I told you, the commentating over a clip video is a recording from the full story. And then I'm also providing commentary, up to date things, so it's more up to date than both of those other videos, the full story or the summary, which were created around the same time. And it has more details. So it's about the same length as the summary, the commentating over a clip video, except it's about 30 minutes longer. It's more up to date. I'm on camera because it is a recording, like I said, that I took from my full story. And like I said, you get an up-to-date content, because I provided up-to-date commentary over it. So any one of those 3 videos will do, y'all, and you'll be able to hear me telling what started my targeting. The summary is just basically that, a summary of what started the targeting, negating a lot of the backdrop story, but it's not as up-to-date, like I said, as the commentating over a clip video. So either video will do, whichever one you prefer to watch. But if you're going to choose from the 2 shorter videos and not watch the full story, I would recommend you watch the commentating over a clip video rather than the summary video. Because the commentating over a clip video, as I just mentioned, is a little bit more in depth. It's only 30 minutes longer than the summary video. I am on camera because it's a recording, like I said, that I pulled from my full story. And it's more up to date because the commentary I provided over the clip is from 2 months ago, as I just mentioned. So check one of those videos out, y'all, before listening to any of my newer content, just so you're not lost and you're up to date with what's going on. And if you're new to the community, the targeted individual community, I would strongly suggest you watch my full story. Because in the full story, not only am I, like I said, telling you everything, including the backdrop story, but I'm also going over some of the terms and the terminology used in the targeted individual community. Because a lot of the terms may sound unfamiliar to you if you're not familiar with this community and some of the tactics used. It would sound like jargon to somebody that's not familiar with some of the tactics used in the program. And I do want to apologize if I sound out of breath, guys. I've mentioned this in some of my recent videos and older ones as well. But typically when I start doing the recordings, I start to sound really winded, and I do believe there's an element of neuromonitoring to that, because I do hear the hum off and on when I start doing these videos. And I'll be sitting there just fine, feeling like not breathless or anything. And then as soon as I start the video, I start feeling out of breath. Now, it could also be because I'm super full, y'all. As I mentioned in my recent videos, I've been working out heavily. If you guys go a few videos back, you can see my 3-month workout progression and birthday video update, right? And in that video, I shared 3 video clips with you of me on camera, showing you what my results have been from working out for the last 3 months. At this point now, it's been about 4 months. But in those videos, you can see me in a sports bra with the short pants, just showing you what my results are. And I told y'all that I've been recently trying to bulk. So I've been doing like protein, just eating more. So typically I'm super full, and this is just one of those moments. I was kind of behind. I didn't get to do my meal prepping. So I ate kind of late today, and I had to eat some of my meals close together. And so I'm super stuffed right now. I'm laying down doing the video. I'm tired. I have tonight off, thank goodness. I told y'all also that I recently started doing security again at night. So that's also been taking a toll on me. Oftentimes I'm really tired because I'm still working out hardcore 5 days out of the week, regardless of the work schedule. So all that's going on. I'm tired. I'm stuffed. And I believe there may be an element of neuromonitoring to it, because typically when I do these videos, I start to all of a sudden feel out of breath. So just please excuse the winded sound. I am literally feeling like, oh, but I want to do this video. I wanted to do it since last night, or this morning, I guess I should say technically. It was dark out. I was doing security this morning when I worked the last time I worked. So I worked last night, but I get on at 11 p.m. and I get off at 7 a.m. So it was dark out in the sky, but it was technically this morning when what I want to talk about in this video happened. Several things, actually. This is like another documentation video, y'all, and I guess you could say mini discussion. I might even title this mini discussion part 2. I'm not sure. But that's basically what's going on right now. Just kind of documenting some things that happened between the last time I worked, last night / this morning, and then today. Some of the things that happened today, even when I went to the gym to work out. Just documenting and discussing, just a mini discussion, y'all. And hopefully the video won't be too long. Because y'all know, those of you that have been following and subscribed, y'all know how this thing goes, right? Like I tell you, I'm trying to do like a 30-minute video or a 20-minute video, and then next thing you know, it's like 2 hours. So I've been really good about trying to keep it at least no more than an hour 30 recently, but it's still like really hard. I think I'm so tired though. I think I really will cut the video off early today and just stick to the point of what I want to talk about. So, anyways, all right, guys, I just catch my breath. I'm just like super stuffed and just feeling winded. Anyway, so let me just tell y'all what happened last night. Before I get into what happened today, or this morning, I should say technically. So, like I said, y'all, I'm doing. Oh, before I get into that though, let me just get back to talking about these links in the description box in the comment section. Y'all, please check out the links. I take my time and I put together important links in the comment section and the description box. I share the same links in every video and I put it in 2 locations. I put it in the comment section as well as in the description box. Let me go there real quick and show y'all. By the way, this video you see on the screen, guys, that's the commentating over a clip video. So remember I told you I have the summary video and I have the commentating over a clip video? That's the commentating over a clip video. And that thumbnail is also the same thumbnail that you'll see for my full story video. Because remember, I took this clip from the full story. Anyway, so you can see it's 3 hours and 10 minutes long. So let me go ahead and show y'all. I'm just going to click on any random video. My newest video that I uploaded. Or my most recent video. Hello, welcome back to my and I just want to show you the links that I include in my comment section as well as in the description box. So you can see I pinned the comment, right? Excuse the update. Sometimes I'll give like a little update before I share the links. But I put a lot of important links in the description box with information about the program. Sometimes it might be information about a video or clip or something I discussed in the video. It might be a link to a video clip that I shared or an article talking about something that I talked about in the video. But then also always I include links to videos that discuss the technology used to surveil targets 24/7. So the insect and bird drones that are used to surveil targets 24/7. They use drones that look like birds. If you do your research, you'll find out that they're actually using, from what I understand, dead birds. I don't even know how true that is. I think these, I'm so confused because of the capability of them to microchip live people like us, the targets. And even the insect drones, those are live. So their ability to do that makes me feel like at this point now the birds probably aren't dead anymore. Because some of these birds they're using, it's just like, I don't know, they don't seem dead. It's weird and creepy the way that these birds are operating. These birds look alive. Like they have live birds microchip that they're utilizing. But whether they're alive or not, they're real birds that are being utilized. And they're microchipping them, remote controlling them. The birds have cameras in the eye sockets. So this is how they can see with these bird drones. They make bird sounds, but they sound very generic. Sometimes the bird sounds sound authentic, and this is why it can be such an effective psychological warfare tactic, because they're using real birds. They look like real birds, at times sound like real birds. So it's hard to believe unless you see the actual evidence that this technology exists and the evidence that this program exists. You might start to question your sanity. So that's why this program is so effective. Anyways, they're using real birds, y'all. And sometimes the bird sounds sound authentic, but oftentimes not. Oftentimes it's like this generic bird sound that you'll hear. And this is how you can definitely tell that it's a drone. But it looks like a real bird. Have the weird, bird sound going on. And then the birds also can hear you. They have microphones in them so they can hear everything you're saying. That's externally. So when you're not in your house. When you're in your house or in private places, like let's say you go in a store, obviously they're not going to have birds in the store, or in your office or wherever it is that you're going that's indoors. That's when they use the insect drones. And the insect drones have cameras, microphones, and syringes on them, which is way more scary, right? They're a little bit more creepy than or sinister than the bird drone because they also have syringes on them where they can inject you with stuff. And this is how the RFID chip is implanted, and also how nanobots are implanted into targets. So in the description box, I include links to different videos talking about this technology that's utilized to surveil targets and implant them. So y'all can check out my links. This one last video I was talking about this case that recently took place, that's still taking place right now with a senator who was targeted illegally. He has a different nationality and he was targeted, and only because he's a senator and he has pull is why the case is moving forward so quickly. And so he has some powerful people that are willing to go to bat for him because they know him personally. And so they're kind of fighting not only his case personally, but the whole targeted individual program in general is now being fought. And a lot of the people in charge of the program are being sued. And so in this video, I showed a mini clip from a video talking about the case and other cases. And there are apparently 29 people getting sued, including, like, I think the director of the CIA, if I'm not mistaken. So that was a big deal. And I shared the link to the video clip, to the video that I shared a clip from in this video. So that's what you see there. Then I put a link to my PayPal. I talked about this in prior videos recently. You can check out actually this video where I'm in my graduation uniform and it says I am a targeted individual that is asking you to donate. Sorry about that, guys. My brain, like, weird stuff happens where it feels like stuff is pushing in my brain sometimes, and I've talked about this before, with this neuromonitoring technology. It's the weirdest thing ever. And I have a bad habit of trying to push it out by, like, saying words physically from my mouth, and I've been working on that, but that happens to me sometimes. It's really horrible. So anyways, in that video though, with me in the graduation uniform, I'm talking about, my PayPal that I recently created. And I just created that for help if you can afford it, because I know there are other targets out there that are way worse off than me. This is why I don't push it so hard. But if I can get the help, I would appreciate it. So the link is there. I talked about it in the beginning of one of, I think, my intro videos after creating that video with the thumbnail. But other than that, I haven't really been pushing the PayPal, although it's at the top of my channel. If you check out my channel, I put the link to the top of my channel. You can see it says paypal.me/neurodivergent target underneath the imperfection is beauty quote, right? And obviously not obviously, I don't want to sound condescending. I'm sorry about that. But when I say neurodivergent, I'm talking about being somebody with Asperger's and ADD. That means that your brain is wired differently. So it's a divergence from the norm. And so we're called neurodivergent. And so that's why I titled it as neurodivergent target. But I don't really push to PayPal like that, but the link is there if you can help. I have had a target send me money twice, which I really appreciated, a fellow target. But I'm working again now, y'all. I was unemployed for about a year. I told y'all what happened. I tried to relocate off island, not last year. Time is flying. We're already in a new year. But in 2022, summer of 2022, I resigned from both of the jobs that I was working. I was a teacher and I was a security guard. And I resigned from both of those jobs. I had saved up about 4,000 and change. I had a good credit score, 700 and change credit score, good resume, etc. This program was happening down here. I didn't know yet that I was a target, nor did I know that this thing would follow me. And so I tried to relocate and it followed me. And I didn't understand yet, again, that I was a target. So I had these egregious reactions, shared some really horrendous Hebrew Israelite propaganda in my vehicle, in addition to a little run-in I had with an officer when he pulled me over for doing a rolling stop with a stop sign. And one other thing, what was it? Oh my gosh, I can't forget that. Something that happened with a homeless man on the Greyhound bus. Those three things made my targeting go viral, really viral, and it made a lot of people turn against me. So this is why I'm very adamant about sharing my story and letting you hear my side of the story, because there's always two sides to a story. And every negative reaction I had was reactive abuse, me reacting to abuse or some sort of stimuli or something that was presented. They took that little recording with the homeless man, because this is what happens when you're targeted. These, not only are you being surveilled on a live feed via these drones that they use, but they're also recording you. And they'll take little bites of bad moments or bad reactions and send that around and use that to propel your targeting. And you're not getting the backdrop story of what caused the reaction. So check out my story, y'all, please, because there's an explanation for everything. I'm not saying it justifies some of the reactions I had, especially the offensive content I shared, that one especially. But just understand that I've already apologized several times for the things I've said. I apologize again. And it was a reaction. It was reactive abuse. And so this is what was used to propel my targeting. And this is why these videos have been like my saving grace, because I've been able to tell my story. And this is why I've been able to get some targets that they were able to turn against me back on my side. It's crazy. Making these videos have really helped. Anyway, so with the PayPal link, y'all, because I kind of went off on a tangent, I was talking about relocating. So 2022, summer of 2022, I was telling you I resigned from my teaching job and my security job. And I thought I could just leave. Did not know that the thing would follow me. Didn't know I was targeted yet. So it followed me. I had egregious reactions. Thing went viral. Targeting got real bad. You know, it was like this weird, astronomical, otherworldly sci-fi type of experience. You really have to listen to my videos to hear y'all, because I go into vivid detail about some of the things that I experienced when I was in the States or in the mainland. You know, where I live now, the island I'm on is US territory. So technically I am in America. So I want that to be understood. But I'm not in the mainland. I'm not in the States. And so when I tried to relocate, I was in the States when my targeting went viral and all those crazy things happened to me. So not long story short, I ended up coming back to the island I tried to relocate off of, and my targeting changed. You know, it was a lot more invasive. I was microchipped. You know, the gang stalking amped up. Of course, I didn't have a vehicle anymore, didn't have a job. And so all of last year, 2023, you could say I was basically unemployed. I did security for about 2 months, January and February, not January, excuse me, February and March. And then after that, because of my terrible performance, and the performance was terrible due to my gang stalking, y'all, it was really bad. And I was dealing with what I suspect have been energy weapon attacks back then as well. I talk about this in my prior videos, so I'm not really going to go into the details about it right now. But the performance was terrible, and it culminated in me losing the job or getting suspended. So for the whole year, I was unemployed. And just recently, like the end of last year, December, I was given another chance with the company and started doing security again. So this is why you guys hear me saying I'm like adamant about like making sure I'm doing everything right and like dotting my I's, crossing my T's, you know, not even allowing myself to take even a little 5 minute snooze, nothing. You know, a lot of security guards take naps, right? I don't do it. I can't. I don't have that luxury. I'm being watched 24/7. And then I had a bad performance at the beginning of the year that led to me being suspended. So I am sitting up. I am not allowing myself to sleep. Only 2 times since I started in December did I fall asleep on myself. And one night it was because I had COVID. You know, this in this same video here, y'all, I was talking about being sick or whatever, having a cold. Come to find out, and I was also telling y'all that it seems like the whey protein that I've been taking in the milk has been making my jogging more difficult. That's not the case. Apparently, I was working on doing full on workouts with COVID. I didn't know. So I was jogging and doing my jogging and everything, and I had COVID and I didn't know. So that's what was going on. Even in the recent videos that I, created before, where I was telling you I had like a cold, and I was so paranoid because they fearmonger me with the stuff they send me, the stimuli to try and get in my head. You know, it was just I thought a simple head cold, but it was COVID apparently. So anyways, that's why the workouts were more difficult, have felt more difficult. Not really the workouts, I would say, not the weightlifting, but like the jogging. You know, I gained a lot of weight too, y'all, which is good news. The weight really has been packing on the pounds. So I kind of figured it was that too. I was saying, okay, well, maybe it's because I'm doing the whey protein. And when I go back to doing vegan stuff, not vegan, I'm not a vegan, but I mean, like, as far as the protein goes, I'm not even doing that anymore. Listen to this video, y'all, and I break down, the whey protein versus vegan protein milk, goat milk, and what my plans are. But at the moment, for now, I am doing another cycle of the whey protein and the cow milk, but that's not going to be a permanent staple in my life. It's just something I'm doing now to pack the pounds down quickly. It's like I'm in a bulking phase right now. Um, and you could kind of say it's like a dirty bulk, not totally dirty. It's not like I'm doing a bunch of junk food. But for me, milk, in my personal opinion, I'm not trying to push my understanding of y'all. Listen to this video and I break down where I'm coming from with that. But for me, milk would and whey protein would be a dirty bulk. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now. And so I figured that's why my jogging was horrible, or not horrible because I'm still hitting my checkpoints, but I was struggling, y'all. Like when I first started working out, I couldn't even run. You know, I have different checkpoints I've set up for myself. There was a certain point I couldn't even run to, and I'm running way further than that certain point now and making it. But just recently, like I want to say the last 2 weeks after getting the COVID apparently, I didn't know it was COVID. the jogging has been so difficult. Like I'm hitting my checkpoints, but I'm getting like out of breath and I'm like winded like way quicker, and I'm just like struggling to make it to the checkpoint. But just because of my strong will, I'm forcing myself to make it despite the fact that I feel like I'm about to pass out. And so I realized I thought it was the whey protein in the milk because I had upped the ante with that. You know, like I said, I'm in a bulking phase. I thought that's what was going on, and I kind of talked about that in this video that you see on the screen. But that's not the case. I just recently found out that someone in my close circle has COVID, and so I realized that the cold I had, when she has the same symptoms I had, was actually COVID. And if y'all recall in one of those recent videos I made, I don't remember which one, I told you that the first night I got sick, I had actually had a dream where I felt like I was suffocating and I woke up feeling like I couldn't breathe good. And so it was just that one day that I felt like I couldn't breathe good. And then the other days it felt more like a head cold. So now it makes sense what's going on, why I felt winded with the jog and whatever. But I was thinking it was the whey protein. I was thinking like, you know, the milk or the mucus, because that's what milk is, was blocking me up. And that's what I thought was going on. And then also to the weight gain. You know, when you gain more weight and you have more body fat percentage, jogging does become and running does become a little bit more difficult. So I thought that's what was going on. And that might be a part of it too, to be quite real with you. But I realized I had COVID. I was jogging and doing weightlifting with COVID. Man, I even went to the gym the other day and I still had it. And I didn't know. And I was doing, you know, and then the current was gone on island. So there was no current in the gym. And so I was doing in the hot gym, working out with COVID and a mask on. And I had the mask on because I'm doing like altitude training. I saw that you can, if you wear a mask and you work out with the mask on, it can increase your lung capacity and it makes the workout more difficult. But oftentimes I end up pulling it down early in the workout, y'all, and I'm breathing through my nose. But I've been using it and keeping it on my nose as long as I can because it expands your lungs and builds your lung capacity. So I was doing all of that. I had the mask on, the AC was gone because the current was gone on island, and I had COVID, and I was weightlifting. It was crazy. I didn't even realize that was what was going on. And I was forcing myself to do the workout. I was just like, you are going to do this. And I'm like, girl, you don't know. You almost probably ended up in the hospital with your craziness. Anyway, so I went off on a tangent. So that's why my jogging has been more difficult recently. I realize this because of COVID. I had COVID. Anyway, so I went off on a tangent, y'all. I was showing you the links. Oh my God. I was supposed to be talking about the PayPal link, but then I ended up talking about the COVID thing. That's what this note was up here, where I was telling y'all I realized that my jogging felt difficult this last month because of COVID. Because in this video, I was explaining to y'all that I was thinking it was the whey in the milk. Anyway, so back to the PayPal thing, y'all. Oh my God, I went off on a tangent. So nonetheless, last year, I was basically unemployed. You could say basically for the whole year, with the exception of like 3 months. The 2 months I told you I worked, January, February, and March, then got suspended, was sitting on my ass for the whole year. You know, I was applying to jobs and not getting through. And then December, last month, I started doing security again. And there is a job, and a correction officer job I applied to last year that I told you guys about towards the end of last year. I did a psych evaluation and was told that I did good. And I did a bunch of paperwork and I, you know, passed the first 2 interviews and then haven't heard back yet. But I was told that it's a process, and I think there's offers to school you have to do and all these different things. So I'm taking the not hearing back as good news, because typically with these type of jobs, they will contact you and let you know whether or not you got the job or not. So like if you didn't get it, typically they'll let you know, right? And I haven't heard back. I even tried to call and left a message and didn't hear back. So I'm assuming, I'm trying to be optimistic and positive. I'm assuming that what's going on is that, you know, she's waiting for the school to start or whatever the process is to reach out to all of us and let us know what's going on. So that's what I think is going on, but I have not heard back yet, you know? So that's just an update on that. But I've been doing security and it's been, you know, helping me a lot. But it is still supplemental income. It's not bad, actually. I'm doing the security. I actually am making more than I did when I was a special ed paraeducator, working for the Department of Education. This was back in my mid-20s. But I remember that check was, you know, like around 650, something like that. I don't know if the pay has changed now, but they do take out a lot when you work for the Department of Education anyway. You know, you get retirement taken out, you get just a lot of different things that's taken out for your own personal gain, insurance, whatever else. So I believe that's why the money was so low. And then I was only, like I said, a paraeducator, which is kind of like a substitute teacher, but I think a little bit, I don't want to say misinformation, but just from my own experience of doing the jobs, I believe it's a little bit lower level than a substitute teacher. Not totally, because I did sub sometimes as a paraeducator. Sometimes they would have me hold the class for a teacher. but it wasn't often. It was more so like I would be in the classroom with a teacher, similar to a TA, teaching assistant. So I believe a paraeducator is more on the level of like a teaching assistant versus a substitute teacher, which is a little bit higher. So this is what I was doing. I talked about this in my full story, y'all, when I was in my mid-20s before I went back to school for the second time. And so the pay doing security is not that bad. It's like it's a little bit more than I made as a paraeducator. So it's not terrible pay, but at the same time, as a grown woman, at 31, 32, whatever my age is, I I need more, because I have a lot going on as a target, and a grown woman. I have debt, I have, if you listen to my story, you guys will hear that there are 2 car accidents that I still need to pay for, trying to get on my feet, trying to get my own place. It's just a lot going on. And so this job has been a saving grace for me. It's been such a help for me. You don't even understand how much it's helped me, but still something I view as supplemental income, because of my situation in particular. This is something that I would more so view as supplemental income. And then I'm also used to working several jobs and having more money coming in. And, so for years I had been teaching and doing security and doing this and doing that. And so just having this as my main source of income has been difficult. And so that's why I created the PayPal. It's not like adamant, like I'm in the streets or don't have food, or shelter. And I made sure to say that in my video where I introduced the PayPal link. I made sure to let y'all know that I do have a job. I'm doing security. I do have food to eat. I even have food stamps, but I could use the help. I am trying to get on my feet. Haven't heard back from the corrections officer job just yet. I told y'all I'm also planning to go back to school. That's a part of the plan. So a lot's going on, and I'm just trying to get on my feet, really. And the security job has been helping. I was even given an extra night of work, which I'm grateful for. So that's obviously going to reflect in my next paycheck. But still, nonetheless, something I'm viewing as more so supplemental income rather than, like a main. It is my main right now. This is my main job. And actually, even if I get hired on to do the other job, I would like to see if I could still do the security as well. If it's not a problem with the correction officer job, I would like to see if I could do both, because this is what I'm used to doing. I'm used to working multiple jobs. But right now, this is what I got going on. I don't have anything else going on but the security job. And I have a lot of debt, and I'm trying to get on my feet. I even lost a car with Carvana when I tried to relocate off island. So my credit's bad now. So it's just a lot going on. And this is why I made the PayPal link, because I could use the help. But I made sure to let y'all know that it's not like I'm out in the streets, So if you have it and you can help, I am grateful. But if you can give it to a target that has nothing, I would say give it to them rather than me, And I also said that if I get the correction officer job, I'm actually going to delete the PayPal link. But I did have a target that sent me 20. He sent me 10 2 times on PayPal, and I'm so grateful. Shout out to him again. Thank you. I gave him a shout out in one of my prior videos, recent videos. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Anyway, so back to what I was saying though, y'all. I went off on a tangent. So that's it with the PayPal link. That's basically what's going on. That's why I created that. Because right now I'm just doing security, and that's my main source of income. And I have a lot of things going on, trying to get out of debt, trying to go back to school, trying to get my own place, trying to get a car, trying to pay off the 2 car accidents I had, trying to get on my feet. And that was where that link came into play, and I am providing a lot of information on my channel. So I would appreciate if I could get money for the info I'm sharing. That's not why I do it. I told you that's not why I'm doing this. I started doing this since December, and really what it is empathy, because I understand what it feels like to be going through this crazy situation and looking for information, having to dig here and there and do all this research, when it would be nice to just find all of the info in one place. And so that's why I started sharing the info in my channel, not just obviously to advocate for myself and to validate my experience, but then also to help other targets. But I'm just realizing I am sharing all of this content, and I would appreciate if I could get paid for it, if possible. That would be nice. But if not, I understand. I'm still going to create these videos, right? But I'm not really trying to do these targeted individuals too much anyway. I told y'all that. My newer content, I'm trying to make more positive. And I even in the last video told y'all that you probably won't be seeing a video from me for a few months, if the Most High spares my life. Because I said I'm not trying to make any more targeted individual videos. And the next video I create, I want it to be a workout update video, is what I said. Or something positive, like a job update, something like that. This is what I said. But again, something happened that I felt like I needed to document. And so here I am again, making another video. This is how it goes. You know how the program is. It's always happening 24/7 until you get out. And so that's what's going on. This is another video. For me, I just think it's crazy because I get so much backlash for creating these videos. But literally, these videos are what have been my saving grace. Literally. And had I not created them, my targeting would have been much worse. So this is why I don't really listen when I hear stuff about making my videos. I do listen as far as the content goes. I try not to say too much controversial stuff or offensive stuff. But as far as advocating for myself and talking about some of the tactics that I deal with 24/7 on a regular basis, day-to-day basis, I will definitely still make these videos, no doubt. If I need to document and I go through something that I want to document that I have a reaction to and then I'm getting backlash for the reaction, I will make a video. And telling my story, I definitely don't regret that. The only thing I regret is some of the things I said, maybe personal things about other people. And again, that was a part of my story, like intricately so. And this is why I told it. But mainly the thing that I regret talking about was my roommate, because some of the things I said about her was unnecessary. It was really my story. I just wanted y'all to know why I felt like it could have possibly been something spiritual going on. But at the same time, that's bearing false witness because I don't have absolute concrete evidence that that's the case. And so talking about some of those personal things for her, or in regards to her, I do realize was wrong. I never said her name. I never showed y'all who I was talking about. But still, at the end of the day, I do understand that that was wrong. But all the other stuff I talked about, I don't really regret because those were direct parts of my story and had a major impact on my life. And that's why I talked about it. Anyway, so what was I going to say, guys? Oh my God. So yeah, so this same thing like I've been saying, I really do intend to try to steer away from targeted individual content. That if something extreme happens that I feel like I need to talk about, then this is what the videos are for. And that's why I do them. So this is what this video is. It's like documentation. Let me finish showing y'all the links though before I talk about it. So you can see the link to my PayPal. I showed y'all that. Link to how I became a targeted individual. Wait a minute now. Oh, it's freezing up. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, so those 3 links that I talked about, the link to my full story, how I became targeted, the link to my commentating over a clip video that I told you I would rather you watch if you're not going to watch the full story, and then the link to my summary, which you can watch instead of the commentating if that's what you prefer. But out of the two, if you're not going to watch the full story, I would recommend the commentating over a clip video. Then there's a link to my gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual part 1 video. And in that video, I give more details about what happened when I tried to relocate off island. That stuff I was talking about just now in 2022, when I resigned and I tried to leave and start over, and I didn't realize I was a target, and the thing followed me and I had all these horrible reactions. I give vivid details in this video about some of the things that took place when I relocated and why I had the reactions that I did. So please check that video out. That video is pertinent. You can hear my side of the story. For some of those horrible reactions I had, because the gang stalkers oftentimes will turn targets against me, and then when those targets listen to my story, they come back around, right? So please check that out because there's, like I said, 2 sides to every story, and everything that or horrendous thing that you could see about me, it was a reaction. So please check that video, and I go into detail about it in that video. Some of those horrible reactions I had that made my targeting go viral and made my targeting change to what it is now. Here are some of the videos I was talking about, telling y'all about that discusses the mini drones that are used, the insect drones, bird drones, etc. This one says mini drones to take your DNA and microchip you. And that was a little mini video from an actual newscast, right? Special, where she was talking about these drones. And this was like, years ago, y'all, almost over a decade ago. So that's how long these drones have been around. And I want you to understand the drones shown in the video are not how they look now. She's showing like these little robotic small drones in the video. I want you to understand that now they look like real insects and they are using real insects. And this is why she even said in the video, it could be as simple as a mosquito biting you. I believe even back then they had the mosquito drones, but they would, for subterfuge or whatever, show you when they're showing you what they're talking about, these robotic mechanical looking things, so you wouldn't understand the gravity of the thing, that these are actual insects, they look like insects. It's a lot more invasive and a lot more discreet, these drones. So you wouldn't even know if you were getting bitten or microchipped. It's so scary. But anyway, so in that newscast video, she's talking about the drones and the capability of them to actually microchip you. So I want you to understand this is how the RFID chip gets implanted. Then there's this video, military video about bird and insect drones. And that's a video from the Air Force that they have right here on YouTube. This is why I said the information is out there. All you have to do is look. I'm not sharing anything that's not already out there. I'm just compiling it in one source for you. So you don't have to go all over the place doing research, because I've done thorough research all of last year when I was sitting on my ass not working. I was doing research about this shit. So in that video, it's a video from the military talking about the bird drones and the insect drones. And again, I reiterate, they do not look like what you see in that video. They look like real birds and real insects. Then in this video, an actual article where a writer is talking about these mosquito drones, and you can see the picture that he uses in the article is of an actual mosquito. You know, he's talking about some recent developments with these mosquitoes too, like the fact that they were supposed to release a swarm of them, I think in Britain or something like that. You know, so it's scary stuff. You know, check out these articles. These are important links so you can understand the technology utilized on targets. Then I have linked to my evidence of mind control technology used on targeted individuals video. And in that video, I provide different links and information about the technology used, in particularly the neural monitoring technology, so the nanobots, microchip, etc., and what those capabilities are. Right? And remember, those things get implanted via the insect drones. In that video, I talk about my experience with it. I share a clip from a popular YouTube video talking about the capability of the technology. I share a clip from another YouTuber, a target, talking about his experience with it. And I shared some video links, you know, in that video from my channel where I talk about the technology, even a video where I show the patent for the technology. There are patents out there for the technology that's used to microchip you, right? And neuro monitor you. There would not be a patent if the technology wasn't real. Obama signed the Brain Initiative, and that's what made this technology and this program start to amp up and go more widespread. But it's been around for years, y'all. They're saying that it started with the Patriot Act in 9/11. Again, it amped up then too, but it's been around way longer than that. So check out all my videos and I have information about that, y'all. But anyways, there's more information too. I have another link to another video I created called Pertinent Information about the Targeted Individual Program, where I discuss the use of shadow networking. And that's the AI software generator that they use to hack all of your technological devices, another tactic that's used on targets. And they hack your phone, computer, TV, laptop, whatever, right? Whatever technological device you have that links to the network or the 5G network, right? And they can hack every app on that device and start sending you things with stimuli in it. So you would feel like you're seeing subliminal messaging and everything and like you're going crazy if you didn't know that this technology existed. And I even shared a clip from Michael Barden, a former military agent who's now targeted, who talked about the shadow networking. So check out that video. It's very important. And there's a bunch of other links in here, y'all. So I got some links from Michael Barden talking about the patented technology. I just told y'all about the patents. You know, the other doctors talking about what this thing can do. So check out these links, y'all. I put some important links in my description box. You know, I'm not just doing it for style. Like I literally took my time and put links in my description box and comment section for you all to check out so you can see some of the technology being used, so you can have evidence that it exists. You can see the patents, etc., and other people's experiences, including doctors, so you can validate your experience and not be gaslit into thinking that you're crazy. It's not going to make the situation any better. It's still happening, but it does help when you know that the thing exists and that it's real and that you're not crazy. Because if you feel like you're crazy and you don't see the evidence that this thing really exists and you're being gaslit into feeling like you're crazy, then you can really go off the rocker. That's the intent sometimes with the program. You know, there are different intentions depending on what your targeting is and what their intention is with you, but it's a very scary, invasive program and it's real. Anyway, y'all, so I just wanted to show y'all those links and tell y'all please check it out. Because I share some important information there, and I'm not just putting it there for style. I want y'all to be able to see that stuff. It's important. So anyway, let me document y'all. I spent a good while, 43 minutes. Oh my God. See what happens? Y'all see? And I usually don't go through like that part. I just tell y'all, you know, check out their important links. But I said, this time, let me actually show y'all so you can see like there are some important stuff there. Check it out. Anyway, hopefully for real, this will be my last targeted individual video. And the future videos of the most I swear to my life will really be what I want it to be, normal content. But I keep having like these moments happen where I feel like I have to document because something really egregious will happen to me, you know, like the gang stalking, noise campaign, whatever. And I'll have a nasty reaction, especially like what happened this morning / last night when I was at work. because I'm PMSing. I told y'all in my prior videos, for those of you that follow me, I'm one of those women that get PMS really bad. Sorry for the TMI, but I bleed really heavily. I get really bad cramps, and there's a connection between that and PMSing. So I'm not even sure. There's this thing that I saw too that some women have. That's, I forgot what it's called, when you get it really bad. But I'm one of those that do, and I always have. So I'm not a moody person. I'm actually very introverted. I'm very laid back. Out of all my siblings, that's always been the case. This targeted individual program has turned me into a character. It's brought out like the worst in me. I've had angry, egregious reactions I didn't even know I was capable of. That's how freaking effective this program is, right? But anyways, I don't really have these type of reactions on a regular basis. I'm a target, and I'm having targeted individual reactions that I've been working on, diligently working on controlling my reaction and my human instinct to react to injustice. That's what you have to do. You have to like literally go within yourself and get Hulk strength and stop yourself from reacting to unfair treatment. It's hard, but especially with how the program's designed, but that's what you have to do. And your reaction should be creating videos, documenting, articulating what's going on. That should be the reaction. You have the negative reaction, they hone in on it and then punish you for it. That's how the program works. And I've talked about this in several videos. But even knowing that, I still have human reactions sometimes, especially when I'm PMSing and I'm tired. I'm doing the night shift, y'all. Like I told you, I don't take little snoozes or naps. So I'm exhausted. Y'all, my face looks beat up when I'm not fixing myself up. When I fix up my face and stuff, I look cute. But when I'm home in the house, because of doing this night shift, I've been looking like somebody beat me up, slapped me up. Like that's how intense the night shift is. It's really an intense thing, right? I'd be looking beat up. So I'm that tired. I'm doing intense workouts during the daytime because I'm not letting that stop me from working out and my fitness goals. And then on top of things, now I was PMSing. So I understand I was in a very, very rotten mood last night / this morning when what happened. The gaslighting, or not gaslighting, wrong word, the gang stalking noise campaign happened for this really low down thing that hasn't happened in a while, right? Because remember I told you there was a time when they were doing noise campaigns for that a lot, but they hadn't done that in a while. And so I just had this really nasty reaction to it. And then as usual, my reaction was, taken out of context. And also too, it's just like you're not even looking at what I was reacting to, or you were, and you just didn't care. But then I started to get like backlash. I noticed for it a little bit. Not majorly, but I did get a little backlash for it that morning. And so I wanted to document it, y'all. I'm just documenting the major things. I told you again, I'm trying to stay away from these videos. I feel like I created a video for everything. But when new things happen, even if it's a new thing that hasn't happened, or an old thing that hasn't happened in a while that happened again, I like to document it, especially when I have a reaction that's egregious and I know that it can be used against me. This is where I like to articulate and talk about it. This is, like, again, what has been my saving grace. Because my nasty reaction, then to get pissed with you and start having an attitude with you about your reaction, it's just ludicrous, this program. It's ludicrous, I'm telling you. Anyway, so let me talk about what happened. So I was at work this morning, like I said, PMSing, tired, trying to stay up, watching whatever I can. And of course, I'm being watched. They're watching me watch my stuff, right? You know how it works if you're targeted. Y'all already know. And even if you're new, I'm sure by now you figured out that you're being watched and noise campaigns happen to certain things, right? I'm sure you figured that out by now. Anyway, so now you know how they're doing it. So this is what's happening, right? I'm sitting there and it's Sunday night. So I told y'all my worst nights to work are Friday and Saturday nights, because typically those are the nights when people are off, they're driving up and down, going out, maybe get bored and say, let's mess with the target, whatever the case is. The road is full of people and it's more rev campaign, more noise campaign. It's just everything I'm watching, they're revving for. It's really irritating on the weekend nights, really irritating. And then the weeknights aren't as bad. Still have the ref campaign. There's always somebody on the road. That's how it works when you're targeted. But nowhere near as many cars, right? Nowhere near as bad. So I already told you Saturday night and Friday night's like the worst night for me. But of course, I'm grateful to work. So of course, not complaining about it, but just letting you know, as far as gang stalking goes and noise campaigns, those are my worst nights. So anyways, sorry guys, let me sit up. So I want to quickly do this and finish this video. I don't want this video to be too long. Oh. The out of breathness kind of wore off a little bit, but still just feeling tired. I'm exhausted, y'all. Would you believe, right? I worked this whole week. I told you I have an extra night on now, so I'm only getting one night off. And I have been having a hard time sleeping during the daytime. So obviously when I get off, I'm really tired. And I'll knock out for like an hour or 3, sometimes 4 hours if I'm lucky. And then when I wake up, because I work out during the day and I have different things going on, I'll wake up and it's like I don't get back to sleep. Like I know I'm supposed to get more sleep to make up for the night that I just worked, and I'm not sleeping enough during the day to make up for it. And then at night before work, about 3 hours before work, I'll try to take a nap, and I'll toss and I'll turn and I'll toss and I'll turn. And then typically I'll only get like an hour of sleep before I have to get up. So it's like I've been averaging that. I averaged it out, and I've been getting on average about 4 hours of sleep rather than the 8 hours you're supposed to get. And then I'm doing these vigorous workouts Monday through Friday. So it's really taking a toll on me. I'd be looking beat up. And then shockingly enough, when I pull myself together, I don't do much. I don't wear makeup like that. But when I fix my hair and I, shade in my eyebrows or whatever and put on my lip gloss, wash my face, I actually look okay. But when I'm in this house, my face, and I have my bonnet on and stuff, I'd be looking beat up. I'd be looking in the mirror like, damn, every time I'm looking in the mirror, I'm noticing more like blemishes. And I take care of my skin, y'all. I'm really taking care of myself. Like, I'm working out, I'm taking collagen, I'm taking moringa, I'm taking this and that. I'm not just taking the whey protein in the milk, because I know the milk breaks my skin out. And then I'm doing the night shift. I'm actually doing things actively to take care of myself. I'm wearing a moringa mask, moringa matcha honey turmeric mask, which is really good for your skin, y'all. I'm good for bacteria. It's an antibacterial, antimicrobial, etc. So it can get the bacteria off the skin, the bacteria that causes acne, and also lighten dark spots and stuff. So that's why I do it. And typically in the past, that has worked for me, and it is working. Honestly, when I, like I said, put my face together and stuff, you can see that it's working. But when I'm in the house and I'm laying around and stuff, it's like, I'm looking in the mirror, you can see the blemishes and stuff, and it's just like a mess. I look like I've been beat up. It literally looks like somebody has slapped me up. This is what's going on. This is how exhausted I am. You can see it. I look tired, and I feel tired. Anyway, so, oh well, they're barking the dog. Yeah, well, it is what it is. At least I'm working. I'm grateful that I have a job. So whatever. So what's going on right now though, y'all? So I'm really actively trying to work on trying to get more sleep during the daytime, because it's really starting to take a toll on me. I'm like a warrior woman, and I can push through pain and discomfort. And so I like working out. I can push through discomfort. I have that ability, but it's not always the best thing, especially when it's like you're not getting enough sleep and stuff. That's so unhealthy. So anyways, I forgot what I was going to say. It's tiredness, y'all. I'm sleepy. Oh my God, I forgot. Oh my goodness, I forgot what I was going to say. I think I was just trying to tell y'all that I was sleep deprived last night or this morning when the incident happened. So PMSing, sleep deprived, etc. And I just sitting there, being surveilled 24/7 as usual, and it's just always irritating. I told you already in the newer videos that I created, like the last 2 to 3 videos, how irritating the last month has been, and I was telling you I didn't know what was going on. It's like I had to like tamp down on my emotions, because recently I've just been extremely irritated with everything. Like, it's just been so irritating for me. And I didn't really know why. And so I was just documenting that too, because I do know they have the capability to mess with your emotions. I'm not saying that they're doing that. I don't want to bear false witness, but I do know that they have that capability. And I was wondering, is that going on? I don't know, because I know like at random shit happens, and it's just constantly changing too. And so it's just like, I always have to wonder, because I now know about the capability of this technology, and I do know that I'm microchipped. It's obvious still listening to my thoughts. They still do noise campaigns to my thoughts all the time. It's to the point where this weird thing is happening where my brain is taking names popping in my head. It's so embarrassing too. I even wanted to talk about this too, because it's bothering me. Just thinking about it almost made it happen. It's so embarrassing what happens, right? I don't know if this happens to y'all, but when you find out that your thoughts are being broadcasted, this weird psychological, and now also to understand, if you check out that link that I put in the description box, y'all, evidence of mind control technology, I talked about some of the tactics and some of the effects of the technology. They have the capability of pushing thoughts into your head if they want to. They have the capability of sending dreams to you. They're listening to your thoughts 24/7. It's called brain to computer interface. So literally there's somebody on a computer screen somewhere in a fusion center in the mainland that's looking at your brain waves, right? And connected to your neurotransmitters. And they have the ability to do just about anything with your body. If they want to control you, they can. If they want to push thoughts in your head, they can. They can do just about anything. It's a really scary predicament to be in. But you never know when these thoughts are pushing in randomly. Another video link I put in the description box that I showed you guys was Michael Barton. It's a patented technology. And he's talking about how this thing works, right? And the fact that sometimes you'll be sitting there doing like something random, and then this random thought that you didn't think pops in your head. And you start feeling crazy, like, what the hell is going on? Is this psychological, or are they doing this? And that's why it's such an effective psychological warfare tactic. because you don't know if it's your thought, like if it's psychological and this thing is happening, or if are they pushing that shit in my head, especially in those moments where it's random. Like, let's say for instance you're working out, right? Or let's say for instance you're cooking, or you're writing about something. Let's do something more specific. Let's say for instance you're writing something about a topic and this random thing pops in your head that you were not thinking about. That's an example of what happens. It's so weird and creepy. But then there is an element of psychological to it too, where it's like you getting in your own head because you know they're listening to your thoughts, and you might know the name of this person. And let's say this person does noise campaign and you see the person outside and you know the person's name. The name pops in here, but you're trying not to think it because you know they can hear your thoughts. And then the more you try to stop it, the more it pops in your head, and it pops in your head, and then it starts becoming a thing. It's just this weird thing. It's real torment, especially if it's somebody that you don't want their name popping in your head. It's irritating too bad. I can't explain how irritating that is, where you feel like you have no control and this name is just popping in your head. And then I think too, to tease me and to humiliate me, I think when it started happening with certain names, I think they purposely started to push the name in my head because they have the capability to do that. When it happens psychologically, I think they purposely started pushing certain names in my head to kind of like embarrass me type of way. You know, I think so. Because this is also, like I said, a torture program, covert torture, but it's also intangible. You can prove the technology exists, which I have on my channel. You can prove that you're microchipped, right? Not really. That's the thing. That's the scary thing. You can't technically prove it like that, but you can like document your experiences, and you know what you're experiencing. You know when they're doing noise campaigns to your thoughts, etc., etc. You know your own experience, right? You know that you're microchipped, but you can't really concretely prove that this is actually happening. Like, for instance, if they hit you with a microwave energy weapon, that's an intangible form of torture. You can't really prove what's going on. It's not like physical. It is physical where you're like physically getting sick, but you can't physically prove that they're doing it because it's an intangible form of torture. It's not like they're going there with a stick and beating you. It's like this invisible frequency, and so it's intangible. That's the type of thing with this whole program. It's all like intangible, covert, like it's really high tech. It's a very scary, very effective, high tech psychological warfare program you don't ever want to get caught up in. You don't even, this is the stuff nightmares are made of. Anyway, um, so this is what starts to happen too. I talked about this in one of my prior videos where names just start popping in my head. And it'll be at random too, because I was living in this house. At this point now, it's been about half a year that we've been living here. Time is flying, y'all. It's literally, it almost felt like we just moved in. And already it's been half a year. So time is really flying. And I was here for a good 3 months where the neighbor's name was not popping into my head. You know, it might have happened once or twice. That's about it. All of a sudden, I noticed like the last 2 months, it's just been like popping in my head. Like I can't stop it. This one neighbor's head, excuse me, not had name, popping in my head. Like, and I could not stop it. I know it's psychological because that house is facing my house. And so when I sit up, I can see this person. So noise campaign is coming from everyone. I wouldn't just target out that one person, not to use that word. Noise campaign is coming from all the neighbors. And it's not just the neighbors either. When you leave the neighborhood, noise campaign is coming from the ref campaign and anybody on the road and anybody involved, depending on how far spread your targeting is or how high level of a target you are. And if you guys have listened to my prior videos, you'll have heard me say that my targeting went viral, first of all, when I left and I had all these negative reactions. But then also, too, I live on a small island and everyone, I wouldn't say is involved, but everyone is privy to my targeting. So, whatever app or video live feed, whatever it is that they send around, everyone has access to it. And they all have access to my thoughts too. Can you imagine how crazy and gnarly that is? Of course, your brain is going to be tripping with something like that happening. So, they all have access to my thoughts and they all have access to the cameras that's on me. It's like literally like a public day lynching slash humiliation campaign that's going on here. But anyway, so that's what's happening. Um, and that's actually what's been happening even before I left Island. It started to turn into that, but it hadn't gone as widespread. It was spreading. This is what made me leave Island. It started to spread and get really bad. And so I left Island, but I still don't think it would have gotten this bad to the point of microchipping and people in the mainland involved and energy weapons. I don't think it would have gotten there had I not left Island. But when I left Island and I made all those enemies in the mainland, had all those negative reactions, got the attention of the actual government in the mainland, and really became a target and put on the map, that was when things changed for me. When I got back to this island and I was microchipped, etc., all these different things that started happening to me. So, anyways, um, So that's what's going on here now. I'm sorry for the hesitation. I heard noise outside, so I paused a little bit. So that's what's going on right now, y'all. It's just really crazy what I'm going through for sending a text message. Listen to my story. I sent a text message. And it was literally an emulation of the things I had experienced in the Airbnbs prior to coming home, shortly before graduating. Listen to my story, y'all. But this thing went so far. You don't even understand. From sending a text, I need you to understand how far this thing went, right? But anyway, so that's what's going on. Um, I'm going off on a tangent. I want to just quickly document what happened so I can hurry up and finish off the video because it's getting to be too long. But I forgot that I wanted to mention that too, though, because this embarrassing thing is happening now where, well, it's not just now, like it's new. For the last 2 months, that person's name has been popping in my head, the neighbor, specifically him. I don't even know why the other neighbors' names, because I know two other neighbors' names now at this point, and their names, both of them sometimes like very rarely pops in my head, but that one name, I don't know what it is. I think it is because when I saw that person, remember I told y'all their house is right across from my house. I would see that person outside a lot, and the noise campaign is coming from all of them, not just like, let me not bear false witness. I suspect, remember I told y'all, bearing false witness has played a contentious role in my targeting. Listen to my story, and you'll know where I'm coming from with that. And listen to my newer videos. Not going to go into the details right now. This is why I say please listen to my story so you're not lost with some of the things that I talk about, because I often reference things I talked about in prior videos. Anyway, so even though it's obvious that what's going on is going on, still, just because I can't concretely prove it, for the sake of not bearing false witness, I'm not going to say all the neighbors are gang stalking me or making noise campaign. But I suspect, and I'm 90% sure that's what's happening. Noise campaigns are happening. All the neighbors are pretty much doing that. Let me not say all the neighbors, because obviously everyone that lives in this neighborhood would be considered a neighbor, and not every single one of them is doing it. But the neighbors in my close proximity, a lot of them are do noise campaigns, not all of them. Anyway, um anyways, y'all, I'm sorry about that. I hearing a lot of noise outside the door, and so I'm just kind of wary. I don't want my video to get interrupted. I told y'all that happens sometimes. Anyway, let me hurry up and finish off the video. So that's, about 2 months ago, like that one neighbor's name started like to pop into my head, like back to back, like really bad. Like it happened a few times and I got embarrassed about it. And that's where I suspect the neuromonitor started to purposely push it. You know how they have the ability, like I said, check out that evidence of mind control technology video link, y'all, to push thoughts in your head. There are many targets complaining about it. Actually, let me read something to y'all. I think I took a screenshot about that because I was like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. Where they're talking about targets complaining about the thoughts that they would never think popping into their head. And there are thousands of targets complaining about this. So it's not just me. I think I took a screenshot of it. This was the ruling that Judge Anthony Trenger ruled it as unconstitutional recently. And if you want to hear more info about that, guys, check out the Al Haiti versus Cable case. But don't just type that in, because I remembered I saw this target comment this. And when I looked up the Al Haiti versus Cable case, it was looking like the ruling didn't go in their favor. But it's been taken to court several times. And so you need to check out, when you type in Al Haiti versus Cable, then type in Judge Anthony Trenger ruled it unconstitutional. And you'll see an article, there are several, but there's one from Syracuse talking about the fact that he ruled this program is unconstitutional. And so next steps are supposed to be being taken. But apparently it seems like there's some sort of lag, especially within the FBI, about, trying to shut this program down. It's been several targets, especially ones that have more pull or who were able to get good representation, that have been able to make at least slight waves, and there's supposedly several times that it was ruled as unconstitutional and the program was supposed to have been taken down or in the process of, but it's not happening because so many powerful people are involved and gunning for it to keep going. But that's not what I was looking for. There was another one that another piece of writing that I screenshot, or I thought I screenshot it, where they were talking about the fact that targets complaining about thoughts, that aren't their own pushing into their head. And there were thousands of targets complaining about this. Where is it? Excellent 2 comments. When Anna mentioned she would investigate whether it is... oh, this is more good info. This is not it, guys. Well, let me just read this to you real quickly. excellent. 2 comments. When Anna mentioned she would investigate whether it is illegal to keep people on a list beyond the statute of limitations, because that's also a part of it, y'all. Even if you get put on this covert secret list and they don't alert you to the fact that you were put on due to, I guess, security measures, they are only allowed to investigate for 5 years before they have to take you off the list and or notify you that you were on the list. So let me read it to you. Be it known that the National Law of Intelligence 28 CFR Part 23 states that investigation should cease after 5 years and collected information be destroyed if no open legal or law enforcement procedure was opened during that period, so as not to abuse a subject's civil rights. This is the law. The Fusion Center, now mind you, the Fusion Centers are all throughout the United States. Y'all, I've talked about this in prior videos. You can check out Michael Barden's page where he gives good detail about it. But there are several other targets to talk about it. They literally have fusion centers in the United States, right? And in these fusion centers, this is where the brain to computer interface takes place. So the neuromonitoring, where they're monitoring your thoughts and keeping track of you and your every move as a target, it's in these fusion centers where it takes place. Anyway, the Fusion Center guidelines also replicated this 5-year statute of limitations. This federal law and the Fusion Center guidelines, jointly written by DOJ and DHS, are violated by the FBI. This is Liliana. So she's just talking about the fact that that statute is violated. You know, after 5 years, they're supposed to stop, but there are people targeted for years and years and years and years, right? So
why are you talking so loud? And it's at this hour of the night.
Thank God I paused it. It's only 10:16. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. I knew that was gonna happen. This is why I kept pausing, because I kept hearing the footprints out the door and I knew that was coming. Like, I'm so used to it by now. I knew that was gonna happen. But I'm mad too because I tried to pause it and I didn't hit the pause button. But this somebody in my close circle just come in and tell me I'm being too loud or whatever by the window. So I'm just gonna quiet down, actually trying to finish off the video. So their targets have been targeted for years, y'all. So just to tell you, they're breaking the statute. There are so many laws being violated with this program, no due process, etc., etc. Infringement of your rights, just so many different things. You can get watch listed for things you say. Although I don't stand by or support the offensive content I shared in my vehicle, if we're looking at it through the law, you're supposed to have the First Amendment right. First of all, my car was bugged illegally. And second of all, even if it weren't bugged illegal and I went out in the street screaming that stuff, which I didn't, they still would have no right to put me on a terrorist watch list for the things I said. I didn't say anything threatening. I said offensive stuff, very offensive, and I don't stand by it. But I didn't say anything threatening. So that's to tell you, your First Amendment right is infringed as well. It's just a bunch of rights being infringed. It's unconstitutional. It goes against the whole Constitution, the whole program, and it's evident. But it's just like, again, so many people involved that it's going to take like a real fight to really get this program down. So hopefully that senator, will have enough pull to really get things moving now. This is what the hope is. Anyway, guys, let me get to the point, though. What did I come in here to show y'all? I'm trying to remember now what I came in here. I was trying to show you that target. No, not this. That target that was talking about, basically that there are thousands of targets complaining about their thoughts being bombarded with thoughts that they're not thinking. I don't know if I took a screenshot of it. Oh, let me show y'all the patent, guys. I've shown y'all this in many videos. Well, since I'm in here, might as well show you. Here's one of the Google patents for the technology, the neuromonitoring technology. Patent US 6506148, nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors. Google patents. So check that patent out, y'all. You can look it up yourself. There are actual patents for this technology. It's real. Check out DARPA. I have several videos on my channel where I shared clips from DARPA talking about this technology and its capabilities. So understand this thing is very real and there's easy ways for you to validate it, There's a plethora of information out there. There's a plethora of information on my channel. Anyway, went off on a tangent. So the point is that started happening about 2 months ago with the neighbor's name just like constantly popping in my head, you know, and I had been here living here now for about half a year. So it was so random that it started about 2 months ago. You know, I think what happened, like I said, it happened once or twice and I got embarrassed about it. And I think to embarrass me and humiliate me, I feel like they started pushing it in my head. I'm not certain if that's the case, but I suspect that's what happened. Then I started doing the security again. And I had, you know, I did this video that I took down because I didn't want problems. Just this one coworker. You know, I'm cool with all my other coworkers. I'm sure they might have their own personal feelings towards me because everyone seems to have this warped view of me. But if they do feel that way, they're not showing it. They actually have been kind to me, whether they have feelings towards me or not. But there's this one coworker, and I don't want to talk about it too much because I took down the video for that reason. So I don't want to now create another video talking about it. I was just really having like this weird interaction with him. And then my reaction to not say goodnight to him, because that's how it is in islands, y'all. When you walk by somebody at night, evening time, morning time, you greet them. You say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, or it's considered rude. And I do know what it's like to live in the mainland. And I'm not saying that they're rude up there. Everybody just has a different culture and tradition, a way of operating. But in the mainland, you know, I'm aware of the fact that you can walk into a place and not say anything to anyone, and that's normal. As a matter of fact, I remember when I first moved up in my early 20s to Tallahassee, I was in the habit of going into a place and saying good afternoon and stuff. And I remember I used to do that and people would look at me weird. And so I realized, you know, there's just a culture difference. But that's what you do down here in the islands. And so I remember I used to tell this one coworker good night when I had this little interaction with him where he's doing just, you know, kind of strange stuff. I don't want to go into the details about it because I don't even want to make a video about this. I just want you to understand that that name started popping in my head too. And of course, that was so irritating. And it still happens. Anyway, so this one night, because of what happened, I didn't say goodnight to him. And the ref campaign started going crazy as if they hadn't seen what happened the last time when I worked with him. And so that's why I had created that video. And I just took it down because it's like, I don't want any drama or attention. And, you know, I'm aware of the fact that obviously everyone's watching what I'm doing, whether they admit that or not. It's obvious. So it's just like, I don't want problems. You know, I'm just happy to have this job and I don't want to do anything to sabotage it. But it's just like whenever, again, I have a reaction towards what's being done towards me, and then they act unfairly towards me because of my reaction, just because they don't like me. That's really how the program works. This is where I make my videos. And so this is why I had made that video about him and I took it down. For those of you that viewed it, got a chance to view it, about that one coworker. Anyway, so that started happening with him too. Every time, it's still happening. It's not happening as bad, but it's happening pretty bad still. On the nights when I work with him, it's like his name keeps popping in my head all night long. It's a nightmare. And I almost feel like they're doing it. I really do. You know, I strongly suspect that, but I don't want to say for sure that's the case. Because I remember there was even this night where he wasn't working the night shift. He had gotten off, he had worked the day shift, and I guess he didn't have a ride or whatever. So he was in the office all night, just that one night. And I remembered I didn't go in the office that night because he was in there and it seemed like he was sleeping and stuff. So I didn't want to be going back and forth in there. But I had went in there to microwave my food, which I'm accustomed to doing at night. And I remembered I went in there and the bird drone was hitting on the roof aggressively, like a heartbeat. You know, it was hitting on the roof aggressively, and it sounded kind of like a heartbeat. Every time I, go in there, I went in there twice to microwave my food and to get my keys. And so I realized, like, and his name was just popping in my head like crazy. I'm like, oh my God, of all names. I'm like, I don't want this name in my head. You know how irritating that is? When you don't want a name in your head and you feel like you have no control of your own thoughts and you know your thoughts are being broadcasted and that very person can hear your thoughts. It's such a weird ass program, y'all. I can't even tell you how weird and creepy and annoying this program is. Anyways, his name kept popping in my head and the birds just going pop, pop on the roof aggressively like a heartbeat. So that started happening with him too, that coworker, and it's still happening as a matter of fact, but nowhere near as bad. I'm not going to say nowhere near. It is bad, but not as bad as when it initially started, but it's happening pretty bad. And then the receptionist, her name pops into my head too. I don't know why that's happening. It's like, it's crazy and weird. I don't have any bad interaction with her. It's not like the neighbor where, not to say I have a bad interaction with him. With that neighbor whose name keeps popping in my head, it's not even like the coworker where there's little friction there. It's more so just that I'm aware of the fact that a lot of the neighbors around are doing noise campaigns. So it's just awkward. And I don't want that happening. I don't want the name in my head. It's just kind of like that's happening. But with this coworker, it was literally like a bad reaction or a bad interaction, excuse me. And his name was popping in my head too. It was just like nonstop. It's like, oh my God. But with the receptionist, I actually have a good relationship with her. She's very kind, very nice. I haven't had any bad friction with her at all. And so I don't understand what that's about. It's like her name starts popping in my head too. but not as bad. It's only when I interact, right? So like if I text her and I ask her about the schedule or something, then I knows her name is popping in my head, right? Or if I have to go pick up my check, it might happen a little bit, right? But not super, super bad. It'll happen. And they even tease me and put this her name on the radio one time. I'm just like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I'm like, why is this happening? But it wasn't happening so bad, right? It wasn't really that bad. It was only, like I said, when I would interact with her. But then the point is, it did happen a few times, so that's embarrassing. And so I remembered, oh my God, here we go. Excuse me, sorry about that, y'all. I had to run to the bathroom. And then also, too, I heard somebody come outside. So I'm just really trying to be quiet. Sorry if I'm talking low. Hopefully, you all can hear me. I'm making sure to talk near to the mic because I've quieted down. But I'm also trying to finish up the video. I just remembered that I wanted to talk about that name thing, y'all. The pop in my head. I've been wanting to talk about that. And I actually forgot because I so badly want to document the other stuff that happened at work this morning and then today at the gym. I totally forgot about that name thing. And I've been for a while actually wanted to talk about that. But now that it happened, it's happening more recently. Like I want to say since Friday, it's been really bad. And I know for a fact that that's partially psychological. And I think it's because of me getting in my own head because of embarrassment. I just wanted to talk about it in this video. That wasn't planned. I wasn't planning to talk about that in this video, but now that I remembered, I am going to address it. So anyways, so basically, with her, it wasn't happening as bad as, like, let's say the neighbor or the guy that I had the friction with at work. It was so bad with the neighbor's name that they purposely, to antagonize me, started sending me friend requests with the neighbor's name in it, to be funny. This is how bad it was happening with the neighbor. It wasn't happening that bad with the receptionist. It was happening that bad with the guy I had the friction with, but only when I'm at work with him or if I see him when I go to the shopping center, but not because he does security at the shopping center, but not just like randomly when I'm home, his name just popping in my head. That's happening with the neighbor. But with the receptionist, like I said, it would only happen when I interact with her. And the same thing actually happened with a coworker of mine that I taught with too. So it's just like this weird thing that happens. It actually happens with family members too. I remember around the time when they were really pushing the stimuli with my younger sister, her name kept popping in my head. And it still happens sometimes actually, but nowhere near as bad as it was a few months ago. Thank the Most High. That was also a nightmare in and of itself. But that's not happening as bad anymore. But for a while, my younger sister's name was popping in my head every minute too. It's even happened with my brothers when they've been home. And I don't mention relationships, y'all, but specifically for that, I can mention it because I did talk about that situation in my videos. Anyway, it's just psychological, man. The stuff they push down your throat and the way they make you feel uncomfortable. It's weird. But with the receptionist, it more so just happens when I would interact with her. And so then recently I noticed on Friday, she said she was talking about the check thing, and she was saying if I could pick up the check from Sunny Owls. And so I got in my own head about it because I was actually glad about that. And Sunny Owls is just a shop in Sunny Owls. I'm not meaning to give y'all the name of where we pick up of the shopping center, not like you would know. You've probably heard me mention it in prior videos. But immediately I just got so embarrassed because I was like, it's probably because the stupid name thing that keeps happening every time I message this lady, not lady like to be disrespectful, but whenever I message her, that's when it happens. It's not happening just regularly as I'm sitting here in my bed or I'm going about my day, right? But whenever we interact, then that name is popping up. It's this weird thing that happens, and it's not just her. It's happened with several people before. So it's just weird and embarrassing, right? And so I figured maybe that's why that's happening, to avoid awkwardness. So I was so grateful. I even asked her if I can do direct deposit. I sent her a text message asking her about direct deposit so that we can both avoid the awkward interaction and that happening. And she didn't answer me. But the point is, it's like after that happened, I started getting in my own head about it. I was like, oh my God, what if it's because the name was popping in my head? I already had another embarrassing moment with the Rover car having roaches in it. That's something I'm not going to talk about, y'all. That wasn't me. That's obviously something that happened in that vehicle. Oh my God, I don't even want to go into the details about that, guys, because the cameras are on me, right? The house that we're living in, I've mentioned this in my prior videos. I think I did talk about this incident actually in one of my videos. I don't remember which one. But basically, the house that we moved into is my grandfather's house, my grandparents' house. My grandma's no longer living. So my grandfather's house at this point now. But it's years old, guys. This house is very old. But not just that, when my grandma passed years ago, my grandpa was kind of left with the upkeep of it. And he wasn't, not to say it's cleanly, that's not what it is. He's a man, right? So he wasn't keeping up with the house the way my grandma was. My grandma was like one of those island ladies that clean and, making sure everything's clean and spotless and, smell nice and all this. And my grandpa more so just, he'd do the bare minimal, keep the house together, of course, but he's a man. And then older too, an older man. So that was what was going on. It just wasn't, the upkeep wasn't the same, and the house got roaches, and not those little small, apartment roaches either. Oh, that's right. I did talk about this, but it was in the video that I deleted. The video where I talked about that same coworker that I just mentioned, that I kind of had friction when his name keeps popping in my head when I work with him or when I see him out. Um, that's that's video that I deleted. I talked about this. So I'm gonna talk about it again now. It's so embarrassing. It's just like nonstop embarrassment with this program, y'all. Nonstop embarrassment. Anyway, so the house is full of like big fat roaches, right? You know, the big fat scary flying kind? That's what's in this house. The big fat scary flying kind. It's not the little small apartment roaches. Like in the, it's like low. I almost want to say the projects, but I don't want to say something offensive. But like in project buildings or even apartments, because in my apartment, those roaches were there as well when I moved in. Those little small roaches. So those small little roaches tend to be in apartments, right? Not just the projects, just typically apartments. You can find those little small roaches, especially if it's an older apartment building. So, anyways, it's not like those little small roaches. It's like these big fat jalopy flying roaches, the scary kind that I'm scared of. They make me scream. And I believe they have drones too. Because there have been, let me be careful, I suspect, because I don't want them to do it tonight. But there have been several times where I was like making a video or doing something that was annoying to them. And then all of a sudden the roach is flying on my head of all places, right? I don't see them all the time. That's to tell you, it's not like every week I'm seeing a roach type of thing. Every now and then I see one of those big fat roaches, and it happens to be when I'm making a video or doing something that's annoying them and it flies at me, right? So this is why I suspect that they also have roach drones. But then I know there are real ones in here too, because literally before we moved in, we had to tent the house. The house was tented because it was so full of roaches, like the big fat, not the little small ones, the big fat huge ones. We have a few small ones in the bathroom, but nowhere else in the house that I've seen. Just a few small ones in the bathroom, barely. But the big fat huge roaches that fly, that's what we have in here. And it's a nightmare, so scary. Thank God it's not like a bunch of them because we tented the house. But nonetheless, they are in here. And so, hello, the house is on camera. And this is what shocks me. This is why where I start to feel like, the people in my close circle are microchip. Because growing up with them, I remember how private they were, very particular about keeping the house clean and even letting guests in if the house is not tidy enough. They don't want guests coming in and stuff. Once in a roach in the house and stuff, the big kind, like I said, not little small roaches. And they have the cameras in here and they don't even seem to care. I'm just like, what? This is why I feel like this is not the people that I know that I grew up with. They would have cared. They would have cared. And this is why I'm just like, what is going? It's like scary to me. Anyway, um, so the big fat roaches are all up in here, but it's not like a bunch of them because, like I said, we tented the house, but there are a few in here still, and the cameras have seen it, obviously, and everyone on the island has seen it too. It's so humiliating. I don't know why I'm the only one humiliated. But anyway, so when I started working, as soon as I got in the vehicle patrol car, because remember I told you I was working since last month, I had one night on my schedule doing vehicle patrol. And I remember I went in the car. The first night I went there, they have the cameras on me. They saw it happen. My first night, there was roaches on the seats. Which I remember going, whoa. And I remember them doing ref campaign when I reacted like that, like I was being stuck up. So that was in there before I got in that vehicle. And it's a lot of them too. It's not even like, and not to talk down on the job. I'm so happy for the job and stuff. I just want you to be clear with you. It's not coming from me, right? And this is what I thought the thought was. And this is why I talked about it in my video, and I even contacted the receptionist about it because I was so embarrassed. But the car's full of roaches, like endless roaches. The seats are full of roaches, like really bad roach infestation. Had that came from my house, my car would have looked like that too. They have the cars in the camera in my vehicle. They're watching me in my vehicle. They know full well they're not seeing them little small roaches like what they're seeing in that patrol car. And you're not even seeing it in this house either, right? You've seen the big fat roaches sometimes. So that didn't come from us. But I still felt the need to advocate for myself because I remember then, about a week in, I had only been working there for about a week. We were having to sign this waiver about the car getting fumigated for the roaches. All of us that drive the vehicle patrol had to sign the waiver. And I noticed the receptionist took the vehicle patrol night that was on my schedule off my schedule. So I immediately, and that's just how my mind works, y'all. Like I'm always like feeling bad about stuff and always feeling like not as much anymore. The way I am now after this program, I'm telling you, my shame box is non-existent. And if you want to know what a shame box is, the box where you feel shame about stuff, embarrassed about stuff, it's barely there. More so, what I'm embarrassed about is the name thing. When people's name is popping in my head, that type of stuff embarrasses me. But things like roaches and things like that, I don't really feel embarrassed anymore. Trying to embarrass me and say mean things about me, I don't feel embarrassed anymore because of the things I've been through. These people don't see me all ass out. They don't see me in my worst state ever. And so it's to the point where I'm desensitized to that now. I don't give a shit in a way, right? Anyway, so I just wanted it to be clear that the roaches didn't come from me. So I remembered writing her this big litany. I texted her this big long thing talking about the fact that, I noticed she took the vehicle patrol off my car shortly after we had to sign the waiver about the vehicle being fumigated. And I hope she doesn't think it came from me. And I started explaining that my house, when I first moved in, it's an old house. And the only reason I told her this is because I know I'm being watched on camera. I would have never sent that message had I not been aware of the fact that I'm being watched on camera, y'all. But I literally started telling her about the fact that when we first moved in, we had to tent the house because it's an old house and my grandfather was living here and there were big roaches and there's still a few, but it's not the little kind of roaches like what's in that vehicle, etc., etc. I felt like I had to explain that to her because I really thought that she took the thing off my schedule because of that. And so I remember she called me and she was cracking up and telling me I had her cracking up with that message, and that's not why she took the thing off my schedule. But all of that's embarrassing. So all of that built embarrassment, right? And so I'm just everything's embarrassing to me. Anyway, so her name would pop in my head though whenever I would have those interactions with her because I'm just like embarrassed about everything. I had this kind of weird thing when the job ended a few months ago in the beginning. Not this weird thing, but it was kind of like I got suspended and it was because of a misunderstanding between she and I. But again, not like a major argument, nothing. She's always been very kind, very mannerful, no attitude, nothing like that, even when the misunderstanding happened. It's just that I got suspended. And really, I'm aware of the fact that I was sleeping. So even though that situation I may not have agreed with, in general, I was sleeping on the job like crazy because of the neuromonitoring. I was getting hit with energy. I suspect I was getting hit with energy weapons around that time. My targeting was worse around that time. A lot more was going on. So I was just like terrible performance. So even though that one thing I was arguing about that caused my suspension, I didn't agree with, I was aware of the fact that I wasn't being a good guard anyway. So that's why it was easy for that to be done to me anyway. And I understood that. So anyway, we had that little mini disagreement around that time, but nothing major. And she wasn't rude to me ever. So it's not like a thing where there's like contention there, like kind of with this, the one coworker that I talked about whose name also keeps popping in my head. It's the worst thing ever. And I can't stop it. I really feel like they're doing it to embarrass me. I'm telling you, the way it's happening when I'm at work with him, it's like I can't control it. I'm trying so hard to stop this. It's to the point where I'm going boo 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 and saying stuff out loud to try to stop his name from popping in my head. Anyway, guys, I got talked to about the noise again, even though I'm talking very quietly. So I'm gonna try and hurry up and finish off the video. So his name is constantly popping in my head too, and sometimes it'll happen shortly before I get to work, like when I'm getting ready, and I think it's because in my mind I'm thinking about the fact that that interaction might happen or is going to happen, or maybe it's them. I don't know, but his name is constantly popping in my head. The neighbor's name. I had a coworker whose name that popped in my head a few times as well, and then also the receptionist sometimes. But with the receptionist, like I said, it's only when I interact with her, and the same thing happens when I interact with some other people too. So it wasn't that bad, but it was still embarrassing when it would happen. And so then when she told me about the check thing to pick it up from Sunny Owls, but what she really had said was, she said, "Do you want to pick up your check from Sunny Owls?" She said, "I'm sending some of the other checks over there, and that would be easier for you." I said, "Sure." I jumped at the opportunity because I always feel mortified to go in there because of the name thing that's happened sometimes. I'm like, it was even to the point where I was telling my mom to go and pick up this letter I had to get from in there because I know that happens to me. And again, I reiterate, it's not just with the receptionists. They're here when it happens and they be laughing and revving and having a field day when it happens to me, right? So it's not just with the receptionists. It's happening with all these different people that I interact with. This is why it's to the point where I don't want to learn people's names. I keep praying they don't tell me their name because I'm afraid their name is going to start popping in my head too. It's a nightmare. I really wish I didn't know her name. No disrespect, because she's such a nice lady, but I really wish I didn't know this lady's name. Anyway, so it happens sometimes when I interact with her. But the point is, when she said pick up the check from Sanyaz, I just immediately got embarrassed and thought, oh my God, what if it's the name thing that caused that? Even though I was happy for it because I don't really like going to the office anyway. And it's not just her, it's just going into places. I always feel awkward anyway. I still felt embarrassed. And so I think that got in my head. Or either they saw what happened too and started pushing it in my head more. But after that happened on Friday, her name started to really push in my head every minute. Like, it wasn't even just like, okay, when we interact. I think because I overthought the situation, or either that or they saw that happened and they started to push her name in my head to embarrass me. I'm not really sure what it is. But these last few days since that happened, her name was like pushing in my head like crazy. Almost the same level of bad as the neighbor who they keep sending me his name on Facebook and adding me on Facebook with his name. It was almost that level of bad, but not quite. Not that bad. But still bad enough. I'm just like, and at random has moments where I'm like, why is this popping in my head? It's so weird and creepy. It's so weird and creepy. I can't even tell you how weird and creepy it is to be in this predicament. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's the stuff nightmares are made of. Anyway, so this is what's happening. It's so embarrassing too because, this is my job now. This is like, you're messing with my coin. And this is why I kind of suspect it was them too because, sabotage happens and stuff. But I don't want to bear false witness. I was suspecting it was them because I'm like, come on now, like with the receptionist, like this is kind of low key the supervisor in a way. Like, why would you do that? Why would you let that be happening? So that's so irritating. When it's the coworker, I don't mind as much. I mean, I mind because I don't want to say I don't like him. That's not what I'm trying to say. But we have like somewhat of a, I don't want to say contentious relationship. I don't want to make drama because things have been kind of cool recently. But we don't really have like it's not a good vibe there, really, to be quite real with you. So I really don't want his name in my head. But at the same time, excuse me, I didn't mind that as much as the receptionist because again, he's at the same level as me. That's a coworker. But when it's the receptionist, kind of like low key supervisor, that's a different level of embarrassment. And it's like I don't want that to affect my job. I'm like, oh my God. And it's happening so bad now because of what happened Friday. I felt like I needed to talk about it. I'm like, when I talk about these things, it helps so bad. It's almost kind of what was happening with my niece too. Her name was popping in my head a lot. It still happens because of what they do with the shadow networking and stuff and the constant stimuli and the whole reason this program is happening because of the bullshit. Her name pops in my head too at the weirdest and oddest and oh my gosh, what am I, look at me not able to talk. Most embarrassing of moments, but it's not as bad as before. I've actually been able to somehow like mental talk myself out of, I don't know what, but that's not been happening as bad. It happens still, but not as bad. But now this is like now another new thing now that I have to fight with. It's like constantly something I'm having to fight when it's embarrassing. It's just a nightmare, y'all. It's one of the many nightmare tactics and experiences that you go through. Your thoughts being broadcasted, things popping in your head that you have no control of. It's just embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing. I can't even really explain it, right? But apparently all targets complain about this, thoughts popping in their head that aren't theirs. I just read that article. I've read it several times. Let me see if I can find it right now, actually. I should have took a screenshot. And the video is getting to be 1 hour 30 and I still haven't even talked about what the video is about because I went off on a tangent about the name thing because that's been bothering me too. This is why I told you I always end up talking for hours on these videos. Remember I told y'all that? Because I have one thing that I have planned for the video to talk about and then so many other things happen on a day-to-day basis because it's a 24/7 harassment program that I end up having other things to talk about and I end up talking about the other things as well and then harping on those other things and then towards the end of the video getting to what the video is about. But let me very quickly see if I can find, I'm sure it'll be easy to find an article with that just talking about how many targets are complaining about this. Government guinea pigs, you see that? Jack, I just want to let me quickly peruse through this, guys, and see if I can find what I'm looking for. There are several articles that talk about this. You see this last paragraph here? I'm not finding what I'm looking for, but just understand the level of gaslighting that takes place. Look at the type of articles they have out there. This is all subterfuge because they want when people Google the subject for them to read articles like this one. This is subterfuge, another tactic that they use. It says despite the significant number of TIs, there are few substantive studies on the subject. Those that have been done conclude that TIs are most likely paranoid, delusional. These are all gaslighting terms, y'all. Psychotic. In terms of studies on TIs, there is little to be found that gives their stories of mind control and harassment any credence. There's a plethora of information, such as the patents, right, or videos from DARPA themselves talking about this technology that give our claims credence, right? So this is complete subterfuge. But anyways, it's not what I'm looking for. I'm not finding what I'm looking for. There are several articles out there that talk about feeling like thoughts are pushing in their head that's not there. And I just read one the other day, but I don't want to stay here looking for too long, y'all. Okay, this is not about targeted individuals. Guys, I don't want to stay here too long looking for this stuff. There are a bunch of different maybe this is the article here. My dad says he's a targeted individual. Maybe we all are. My dad is one of thousands who believe the government is subjecting them to mind control. As a daughter and a journalist, I felt a duty to investigate his claims. Have these individuals been America's prophets all along? I was 11 when my father destroyed the condominium where he was living, searching for hidden transistors or other devices that might be beaming voices into his skull. He He took a hammer to the wall, shoved his fist into the holes, and pulled off chunks of plaster. He shut off the power generator and cut the electrical wires in the walls. He put his ear to the floor. He ripped up the carpet. He called 911. A Mexican immigrant who perfected his English by reading books, he sneaked into the San Diego shipyard where he helped build oil tankers. Marco Guerrero had always been an uncanny mechanic. Okay, guys, I'm going to quickly just try to get through the pushing of dots. I mean, you already hear him talking about the V2K. They said he had schizophrenia. Of course, this is what they always do. That's the moniker they like to use. One day, scoring the internet for information about MK Ultra and CIA torture, I was served with an ad for Trintellix, a pharmaceutical drug for depression. B2K and government harassment has probably caused computer algorithms to place me in a category of people with paranoia, which is often accompanied by depression, leading advertisers to target me. The hypothesis started to broaden. In our digital economy, covert players are constantly harvesting our data and churning out exquisitely tuned consumer profiles to tap into our dreams and desires. We are being surveilled. We are being controlled and manipulated. We are perhaps being tortured. But it's not the CIA or aliens perpetrating all this. We are doing this to ourselves. Oh boy, hear her. A thought occurred to me. Could the stories of targeted individuals be a warning? A cautionary tale about the real targeting we experience as digital technologies pervade our lives? My father's perception of electronic harassment is a result of his sensitivity to mechanics of things. No, she's either involved, y'all, because oftentimes, the people in your close circle are, or she's in the dark and she doesn't know that her father is truly targeted. Anyway, I'm not finding what I'm looking for. I'm finding a bunch of bullshit, and I think they're shadow networking right now too. So I'm gonna come out of this, y'all, because the video's getting to be too long. I'm gonna come out, but y'all can check out my page. I provided a plethora of information to validate our experience, but they do have articles out there as subterfuge to again discredit targets. There are a number of articles out there like that with subterfuge, and a simple Google search could knock it all down. All y'all have to do is check out my videos. It's so easy to knock it down, but they know that there are a lot of people that would just read an article like that and then turn a blind ear to the rest of it and not actually do research, the actual research, because it's not their experience, or realize that this shit is real. It's really scary. Anyway, y'all, so just know there are thousands of targets though out there complaining about feeling like thoughts are pushing their head that aren't theirs. So know they have the ability to do that. Let's check out again my evidence of mind control technology video. So I do believe psychologically that these names pop in my head sometimes. Genuinely, I think it's psychological. But then I think there's an element of I suspect there's an element of neuromonitoring to it too. When they see it happening that it embarrasses me, I think they start to take that name and push it in my head on purpose to embarrass me. I do think so. I really do. Especially with the neighbor. That was so random. You know how long I've been living here and that wasn't happening, and then just randomly, like it happened a couple times and I got embarrassed. And then it just started happening excessively to the point where they started sending his name to me on Facebook as a friend request. It's weird, creepy, crazy. It's just I can't take it. Anyway, so let me finish up the video, y'all, and tell y'all what the video is actually about. My God. So anyway, this morning when I was at work, I just wanted to talk about that name thing because it really bothered me. Anyway, so this morning when I was at work, so remember I told you I was PMSing and, just not in a good mood, really tired and sleepy, sleep deprived, etc. And for some reason, the ref campaign was turned up. It was almost like it was a Saturday night. You would have thought it was a Saturday night rather than a Sunday night, Monday morning, right? But it was kind of amped up, the ref campaign. And I didn't really understand, but it wasn't too bad. It was kind of amped up in the earlier hours, and then like when it got more towards the wee hours of the morning, it wasn't as bad. It was kind of lit for a Sunday night, but it wasn't too bad. But excuse me, I'm sorry. The garbage truck often drives out around 3-4 a.m. and they do noise campaign to me all the time when I'm watching stuff like ref campaign, whatever, but not super bad. So I've never really said anything about them, and I never really had any issue with them. Obviously, they have an issue with me, as most people do. This is how it is when you're targeted, smear campaign and all these other things and warped perceptions and whatever else that happens. But you have enemies that consider you an enemy and you don't even know they exist. Like, this is how scary the program is. I even had this weird incident with this elderly lady today. She made it into my video. I think she wanted a moment, so she made it into my video. And I respect my elders, so I'm not going to say anything disrespectful, but I really think she wanted her moment because she made it into my video. I'm about to talk about her in a minute. But anyway, so I forgot what I was gonna say though. So the garbage truck, they be doing noise campaign like rough campaign on the road. Sometimes when I'm watching stuff, but it's never anything too invasive or major. They're never too rowdy, So I never really say anything about it. I don't feel any kind of way towards them, and I actually told y'all, this is to prove I'm not a stuck up person like they try to paint it like I am. I have all this experience on my resume, graduated magna cum laude, this and that. And I was willing to work as a garbage truck worker just to make money. When I was sitting on my ass last year and I couldn't get a job, I actually applied to become a garbage truck helper and they just didn't hire me. But I was really actively trying to do that. And then someone in my close circle, two people in my close circle kept saying, "You're a woman. You think they're going to hire you with all those men? You think they want a sexual assault claim on them, on their hands," and saying all this type of stuff like that. And I know the people heard, everything's tapped and wired. And so I think that got in their head and they didn't hire me. But they kept saying stuff like that to me, like, "You're a woman, you're going in there, this and that's going to happen to you." And, they're saying all that stuff like that. And so I think that people heard, and I think this is why they didn't hire me. Because at first, initially, when I turned in the application, despite my targeting, the lady seemed receptive. But then I noticed when I went back the second time, very closed off and, I don't want to say standoffish, not standoffish, but like she didn't want to hire me. You could tell. And then they started saying like the position wasn't available anymore. Anyway, so that was kind of what happened with that. I didn't get that job, but I was willing to work it. So that's to tell you I'm not looking down on any job or position. Money is money, and I'm a hardworking woman. But I said some negative stuff there about that. I didn't even say anything about the job in particular. I didn't say anything negative about the job. I more so specifically was talking about whoever was driving the truck. But I said something gnarly just because of, the noise campaign. It was really gnarly what he made noise campaign about. I'm saying he, I'm assuming it's a he. I think they don't hire a woman from what the person in my close circle was saying. But so I was watching the show or whatever. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I ended up watching, I told you I like to watch the stuff that girls watch, like Basketball Wives, Atlanta Housewives, um, Married to Medicine, all those type of shows like that girls like to watch. And I was watching some old reruns of Basketball Wives, and they were talking about Jackie Christie. And if y'all are familiar with Basketball Wives, Jackie Christie is a nut, okay? I like her. She keeps the show going. She's one of the oldest members on the show because she's a character, but she's a hot mess. She's a character and she has some good aspects to her, but she has a lot of bad aspects to her too, and she's a real character. And so she had this kind of she has 2 daughters, right? And she has them with 2 different men, right? So her oldest daughter, she had with her first baby daddy, and apparently he treated her really bad. He wasn't really a good dude. And it seemed like he was like getting into trouble and stuff. So it was like some bad dude that she was dealing with. Like and in the islands, I guess we would call that bad man. Like a dude that was selling drugs and stuff like that. And so she got pregnant for him, and it was like a toxic, volatile relationship apparently. And so she took her disdain with that man out on her daughter. And so basically, that daughter had a bad upbringing with her. And then she had a second daughter that she had with her husband, who's an NBA player. It's a big rich man, and treating her good. He's very gentle, listens to her and whatever. She kind of running the show with that man. It's like crazy, this poor man. He fell in love with her, right? With the craziness. And so she's running the show with him. And she really loves that daughter that she had with him. And so it's wrong for her to do that. It's understandable if you were abused or in a bad situation with a man and you have disdain towards him, but her taking it out on that child is what was wrong. So apparently the daughter wrote a book, a tell-all book about her experience with Jackie Christie. And so, of course, they're going to try to use that. They take everything that I watch and they somehow make it and warp it into my situation, or try to. They're darndest, and I always knock it down and make them feel stupid. But they're always trying to take things that don't relate to me or might relate a little bit, but barely, not even, and try to warp it and make noise campaign and make it like it's about me just to antagonize me. So I noticed as soon as that scene with Jackie comes on and they're talking about her daughter writing the tell-all book, I hear them revving by and she's acting like she's so distraught over the thing, when come to find out all the things the girl said in the book was true. And this is why her friends kind of started turning against her in that very video. But before that came out and Jackie was just acting distraught about what was being written in the book, one set of rev campaign and stuff in the garbage truck already started to rev up, was in the area, right? They start to do stuff in the area, in the shopping center area when I'm working. They start to rev up and make noise. So I started talking to them. Remember I told you I started, that's why I said this program's so crazy. You start to get like a mad woman, mad man, whatever. Because even though they know that they're listening to you and that you're aware, it's still like a mad person. You're sitting there in the car talking to mosquitoes that have microchips. I mean, excuse me, yeah, microchips and microphones on them. Thank God I have, like I said, the evidence to prove that all of this technology exists. But it's still weird and crazy when I, really try to wrap my mind around my situation. It's crazy. But anyway, so I was sitting there talking to them like I always do when they start to rev up and act stupid, because I don't want to keep making videos. So sometimes I'll address it right there. I started talking to them like I always do. And I said, "You're revving up for this situation. You don't watch the show." I said, "First of all, her daughter was actually telling the truth about the thing she said. So you're revving up like she's lying, but she's actually telling the truth about the situation. That's why her friends are turning against her." And I said, "Second of all, this doesn't relate to me at all or my situation." I said I made it very clear in my videos that I had a good upbringing, I had a good childhood, and I had a good life prior to my early 20s. And I said I took accountability in my videos and I made it clear that I had a drinking problem in my early 20s. I said for a couple of years, mid 20s, so like early mid 20s, it was like 24, 25. I made it very clear that I had 2 years where I was an alcoholic, 2 to 3 years where I was an alcoholic, right? 2 years where I was a blackout drink. And I told you my third year I was a functioning alcoholic before I got myself clean and I went back to school for the second time. So I had 3 years of alcoholism. Anyway, I talked about all of that in my videos and I made it very clear that when my relationship with my mother got awkward was in that time when I was a drunk. And I took accountability for that. And I said, I think some of the things that was happening as far as her reaction towards me and what I felt was ill treatment was due to my alcoholism. I said that very clearly. And so I think she just started feeling a disdain towards me. And I think that's where some of the ill treatment came from. It wasn't like I grew up in that situation, like Christie's daughter, where it's literally like she had two different daughters for two different men. And I'm not judging her. I'm just making it clear that it's a very situation. My siblings and I have the same parents. And I'm not saying like that's a big deal. I'm just trying to show you how it's already totally different. She treated the older daughter bad because the older daughter belonged to that man that treated her bad. And so she took her disdain for that man out on that daughter. And then she treated the second daughter good because he belonged to her MBA husband who treats her good. And so that was horrible for her to do. And she was dead wrong for that. And her friends kind of saw what happened and they started to kind of turn against her in the clip. But anyway, so the ref campaign was happening, as soon as the scene came on. And so I'm explaining to them, it doesn't relate to me at all. It's completely different. And so I started breaking down the situation. And then I said things got bad. I said the only time I really had an issue with my parents was with the text messaging because that was taken too far. This is what I said. And this is why I started making these videos. And I said, and I made it very clear that the awkward relationship or weird relationship with my mom started in my 20s when I was an alcoholic. And I believe it was due to my alcoholism. I made that very clear. And I said, I took accountability for that. I said, this is a whole different situation where this girl, her whole life, was being treated bad by her mom all the way back in childhood. I didn't go through that. I had a very good childhood. I was blessed. My childhood was such a polar opposite to what my adulthood has been. You would have never thought this would have been my life. Anyway, so forgot what I was saying. And I didn't turn out that bad, y'all, because like I said, I had the 3 years where I was an alcoholic and it was due to some of the things I was going through. I kind of just felt like, in my opinion, I felt like I wasn't being heard when I was saying certain things. I wasn't being listened to. And so I took the decision to drink and that was my decision. And so I'm at fault for that. But even after that, I cleaned myself up and my life was good. I graduated magna cum laude, got myself together. I was teaching, I was doing all these things. And I sent a text message and that's why I'm a target. It's crazy. So it's just this weird spiritual thing that's been happening, y'all, since my early 20s. But anyway, I don't want to go off on a tangent on that. Anyway, totally different situation to Jackie's daughter, who didn't have no alcoholic problem, no drug problem, nothing like that. Literally just had a terrible life with Jackie because she happened to be, unfortunately, the child of the man that treated Jackie bad. Totally different situation, not relatable. But of course, you know how the REF campaign go and how this program goes with the smear campaign and, applying situations to you that don't apply, that type of thing like that. And I believe the shadow networkers, remember I told you with the shadow networking software, they send you videos with stimuli in it. I think they sent that video just to kind of try to create a false smear campaign narrative like what they do. They do that all the time. Send me stuff with like a slight relevance to my situation, but it's like completely different at the same time, totally different. That's what they were trying to do. They just wanted to show two siblings, right, that belong to a mom, where the mom is treating one sibling better than the other, that type of thing, because of what I said in my story. And it's completely different. Anyway, so I started saying that in the car and it kind of quieted down with the REF campaign, right? So then Jackie was talking about the fact that on one of the Evelyn, one of the girls that was turning against Jackie because of what she was learning about Jackie and this daughter, she was talking about the fact that that book changed my whole outlook on you, Jackie, and this and that. And there was interviews with the girl and stuff, and they were able to validate the things she was saying. And she said the girl even wrote about suicide in her book, that she was contemplating suicide. And so when Evelyn said that, The garbage truck goes super loud, and it goes beep beep, and then they did something else. I forgot what else they did, but that enraged me because they haven't been doing the death thing in a while. I told y'all what was happening to me at the beginning of the year, right? Around the time when the radiation, what I suspect to have been radiation and energy weapons was happening, and I was getting sick and losing weight and all this stuff, right? Around that time, they were sending a lot of stuff about death to me, and the noise campaign was happening with that, in addition to the death thing. But that hasn't happened to me in months, y'all. I made my videos, I've talked about it, I've been more positive. Things have been better for me. They have not been doing noise campaign to death. Several times death has been mentioned in my videos, and they don't do the noise campaign for it. So it's been a while since that's happened to me. So I guess you could say I was sensitive to it because I had gotten desensitized to that very low tactic that was being used at the beginning of last year. I got desensitized to it, so I was so used to them doing it. But I had gotten I guess you could say the desensitization went away because I got sensitive again. I think also too I was PMSing or whatever. Because typically I could just be like F you type of thing. Not like actually say F you the word, but like feel that kind of way like, okay, that's how you feel. That's your problem. Sounds like a personal problem. I don't care. That's the type of personality I have. I'm so strong. I really could just totally not care. The only reason I even care so much about what's happening to me is because they're literally watching me and following me and harassing me. If it weren't for that, I keep saying this, if they just had this warped perception of me, that's you. That's your problem, right? I know that sounds bad, but that's how it is. That is their problem. That's not my problem if you have a warped perception of me. All I can do is be me. So if you have a warped perception, that's a personal problem. When it bothers me is when I'm being harassed, I'm being watched, I'm being stalked. That's where it's like, I'm making the videos, I'm advocating, and I have to prove. This is where I feel like I have to prove myself because I'm literally being harassed illegally because of the warped perception. If it weren't for the harassment, I wouldn't care. I'm going to be real with you. I wouldn't care about others' opinion. That's just how I'm built. I don't care. I really wouldn't care. But it's just the fact that I'm being harassed is why I make the videos because it's like, it's literally, they're using their warped perception to harass me. This is where it's like, oh no, I got to make these videos. So anyway, so I got in my feelings when that happened, and I got really pissed off, because it'd been a while since they had presented the death thing to me, right? And so I got pissed off, and I said, you could hold your breath. I said asshole or something like that. I said evil bitch or something like that. I said, I don't remember what I said. I've been cussing a lot like a sailor this last month, y'all. I told you everything has been annoying me this last month. I almost feel like they've been messing with my emotions with the neural monitoring because, they have the ability to do that. I even saw this target that was bawling all day long. And she said she doesn't know why she's crying. Her face was turning red. And she said they're doing this to her. It's experimentation. You saw that article I just passed that said guinea pigs. They're experimenting with this technology. They can make you cry. They can make you laugh. They can make you like a bipolar person where 1 minute you're laughing, the next minute you're raging mad. They have the capability to do that. All I know is this last month, things should be looking up. Things are looking up. I actually have a job. I got food stamps. I'm working out. And all of a sudden, I'm so super annoyed and having these nasty reactions. So I was just like, I'm just feeling so angry this last month. I was like, are they messing with me? The people in the fusion centers? Because they're constantly sending me shadow networking stuff and trying to catch me up with these lies. I'm like, are they trying to freaking catch me up with my emotions? Is what I keep wondering and trying to evaluate and keep cool. Because I've been cussing like a sailor this last month in my head, right? Anyway, so I was so annoyed. I said, you evil bitch. I said, I gotta really get these cameras off me. I said, I have people wishing death on me that are watching me and have this evil, bad mind energy towards me. I said, that's dangerous. And I really do feel that way. I am a very spiritual person. I believe in the Most High, and I believe that people's wicked energy could rub off on you. I truly believe it. And I feel like if you have a bunch of people watching you that don't like you, whether they're wicked or not, if their intent is wicked and they're all watching you with that intent and that hate, I feel like that could actually rub into you. And I've been so bad wanting to get these cameras off of me because it feels so creepy. It's a bad feeling. It's a real bad feeling. Anyway, so I was just saying stuff like that. I was just like, I have to get these cameras off. I said, "You wicked ass people." I said, I don't even feel like all of them are wicked. I said that in my head because I know they're listening and I really genuinely don't feel like they're all evil. But I do feel like some of them have spirits on them. I do. I was like, some of them have spirits on them. I said, some of these people that are involved in this thing have spirits on them to the point where they're watching you and wishing death and you don't even know them. I'm like, what kind of wicked, how you dislike a person but you wishing death on them that you don't know? This is what I was thinking in my head. And then I even said, I wonder who did it, because I wasn't sure if it was a garbage truck. I was for the most part, but I wasn't 100% sure. Because I had heard them doing the noise campaign in the area, and I heard them rev up their loud car and then do the beep thing. They were by the gas station behind it, but I didn't see them. And so I was just like, I don't know who just did that, but I said, you could sit there and hold your breath until you die waiting for me to do that, because I'm never going to do that. That's what I said. So I said, stay there and hold your breath until you die, is what I said. I said, you see, you finally got me to get on your level. And I said, you're wishing death on me. I never wish it on you, but I am wishing it tonight. I said, sit there and hold your breath until you die, waiting for me to do that, because I'm never going to do that. That's what I thought in my head. And then I got up and I started looking at jammers, because I realized I have to get something to cut these cameras off. I was trying to wait it out and see if they're going to actually stop, but they don't look like they're trying to stop. I've apologized. I've told my story. And at this point now, I'm actually working on putting a case together to fight against and defend myself and take it to the embassy, because I believe I deserve compensation for the PTSD and loss of productivity, etc., for the last 4 years. So I'm actually working on putting a case together, because there are targets that are doing that and getting justice. And so that's what I'm working. I keep taking notes and documenting. These videos are also video evidence for the case I'm putting together. But anyway, so I was just like thinking about getting a jammer or something to get these cameras off of me. And I started looking into it, because I wasn't even really focused on that recently. Although that is always in my head, I was going to shield my room. I wasn't necessarily going to take it as far as getting a jammer, because I know that there's some legality with that, even though what they're doing to me is illegal. I still didn't want to play around with the jammer thing, even despite all this treatment, having not committed a crime and dealing with all this illegal covert harassment. I still want to follow the law. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, so I was not really looking into the jammer thing anymore. I was more so going to shield my room. I was going to paint it, and I was going to put up the netting and stuff. I was like, nah, man, screw this. All these people wishing death and stuff. I said, I need to get a jammer. I need to cut this shit off. So I started looking into jammers and stuff again, because I had been doing that months prior and I had stopped. And so all then I was just thinking to myself, I wonder if that was the garbage truck. This is what I was wondering, because I had a feeling it was them. And then I saw when they drove it by, it really was them. I said, it's always the lowest of the low that want to that want to take it to the low, is what I said. I said, it's always the lowest of the low that want to take it to the low, is what I said. Something like that I said, some stupid shit like that. I said, the lowest of the low that want to take it to the lowest, is what I said. I was angry. I said it out of anger, because the man had just wished death on me, basically, is what he had just done. And so I thought that negative thought. So I do regret that, because again, I don't want to be looking down on anyone. And I was actually actively trying to become a garbage truck person myself when I couldn't get a job. And they get paid decent from what I understand. I don't know how it works on this island. I never got the job, so I don't know. But from what I understand in New York, garbage truck people are making more than teachers. Like, they're making buku money. I think in New York they're making like 200K or something like that, because nobody wants to do the job. So if I say lowest of the low, I'm not necessarily talking about your pockets. I'm also talking about the kind of work that you're doing. And really, I'm not judging it, because I was trying to do it myself, because I heard that they get paid good. It's really just that he came for me in a very nasty way too. And so I just said whatever, because I was pissed, or I thought whatever. And so I just started going off in my head, and I noticed they drove by slow. They're usually like speeding by, revving by loud, and they were driving by slow. I think I really started to go in, not in on them. Like, I just said that one thing about the lowest of the low, but I was more so going in on how evil they were. It's how I was going in, like how they were evil. Anyway, so obviously everything is recorded and sent around, right? When you have these reactions in the wee hours of the morning, and everybody's tuned in the morning, like the daily news. And I noticed that the program was tuned into my reaction that morning, because all of a sudden I put on the radio and everything's about death and killing. They weren't doing that before. Not everything. It wasn't everything. Let me not say her in front. But like 2 songs that had the word kill in it. Like, they're killing the person. I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, this person came for me first and said the thing about suicide. And so I started saying what I was saying back as a reaction. It's called reactive abuse. This is why I do the videos, y'all. And then, as usual, my reaction is honed in on instead of what I was reacting to. That's how this program works. It's a very unfair covert harassment program. Anyway, so that moment happened, right? And it wasn't an all day thing either. It's not like all day long they were doing the death thing. They really weren't. I just had one other moment where they just did something really gnarly in the neighborhood. I was watching this thing that they sent to me with the shadow networking in my newsfeed. And so they were sending me stuff about animals, like hybrid animals, right? And so we're talking about like ligers and, like a tiger and a lion morph together, or different animals morph together. And then one of the animals they talked about, I think it was the jaguar lion. I'm not sure. One of those animals, those hybrid animals that they were saying was kind of like a mistake, because they weren't able to function well. The way that the morphing of those 2 different species of cat came together wasn't a good morph. So they were saying that was an accidental creation or whatever. I hear noise camping in the neighborhood like they're saying I was an accident. First of all, you lack faith if you're saying something that you could not read the Bible if you were saying something like that about anyone. I don't care how much you dislike them. The God and the Most High doesn't make a mistake. Understand that. He doesn't make any mistakes. Everybody was created with a purpose and for a reason. So for them to say that was so ignorant, first of all, it's like you don't have faith, obviously. But then it was low too. It was so low to say something like that. That was so low. It was like equivalent to what the garbage truck guy did with the suicide thing, with the death thing. It was equivalent to that. And so I was just like, I think this is still them riding on the wave of what happened this morning, because I noticed this thing is like a computer simulation. And when something happens, it's like all of the programming starts to resemble that thing for the next day. And so I was just like, oh my God. I was like, they're just taking it real low, man. I got to get these cameras off me. I just kept feeling like I got to get this shit off me. It's like this uck that I can't get off me. That's what it feels like. Anyway, so that happened. More documentation. Let me hurry up and finish the video, y'all. It's getting to be too long. Next thing happens, now I go to the gym. So I remember thinking, oh, that's what happened. When they did that, I started looking more so into putting my case together to get out of this program. And so then I started looking up different targets and people, and I looked up this lady that's a doctor, and I had seen her story before, and she has kids, and she randomly started becoming targeted. And so there was like a month that she had been dealing with it, and she called the news channel, and they were recording what was going on in her house, and the fact that she had actually found hidden cameras. I think whoever's targeting her have to be amateurs, because if you're dealing with it at the level that I'm dealing with it, there are insect drones that they use. So I'm thinking that amateurs were targeting her, because what was found in her house were like these hidden cameras, rather than insect drones. But maybe they have that too, who knows. But they were black bagging her. So you know how some targets deal with black bagging? That's more jargon, y'all. That's basically when they break into your home when you're not there, and they'll purposely misplace things or open things so that you'll know that they were in there, but you can't prove that they were in there. And so that's kind of like to mess with you psychologically, because of course you're going to be freaked out if you realize that someone was in your home and tampering with your stuff. That's scary. It's called black bagging. And so that's what they were doing to her. And so she called the news channel, and they were recording what was going on and kind of talking about targeted individuals. And they said, and it's a surprise that it would be happening to her with who she is. And I looked in the comments and I saw them saying it's always powerful people, like people that are strong-willed and strong-minded and intelligent, that they do this to. And so I was just like, well, go figure. I was just like, not to sound like a narcissist or anything like that, but that describes me. And I was just like, wow, well, this makes sense. You know, she's a doctor. She's an actual doctor, though. It's like really crazy. So it's wild. It happens to anyone, though. It really happens to just about anyone, really. But it seems to be a trend that it's always people that are strong-minded and strong-willed and that kind of way, like that. It's weird. Anyway, um, so that happened, guys. So I just want to document that, and then the next thing when I went to the gym now. So I think me saying that when I came to the realization that that lady was a doctor, and that I read that comment, I think that might have rubbed the gang stalkers the wrong way. Because typically when I go to the gym, there's no stimuli. I've told you guys that it's actually been surprisingly enough, and I say surprisingly because of all the gang stalking I've dealt with since I've came back to Ireland. And even before I left, that's what made me leave, was the gang stalking. When I came back, it was way worse. I told y'all that this last year has been the worst because my targeting changed. There's consistently gang stalking happening. And things have gotten much better than it was months ago. I keep saying that, but it is still happening, y'all. And I am still being gang stalked, and I'm still being provided with stimuli. They haven't really been doing that at the gym like that. Not at all. You know, it's actually been a pretty good experience. I'm so glad. But today, all days, all of a sudden, it was just like a bunch of stimuli in the gym today. Several different stimuli. So first, there was this elderly Caucasian man. Remember I said a bunch of offensive, stupid shit in my car in Florida. I told you guys I shared some extremely offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda in my car. And I even used what I would call a derogatory term. It's really a term from the Bible, but a term in certain Hebrew Israelite groups that's used towards the Caucasian race. Not all Hebrew Israelites believe that term applies to that race, but some Hebrew Israelite camps believe that term, and I'm going to say the term, I've said it in private, I'm going to say it now, that term in the Bible, basically one of the people in the Bible, they believe that that applies to Caucasian people. And so that was one of the stupid shit that I shared in my car in Florida when I was going through what I was going through, temporary insanity, and I had experienced a lot of racial gang stalking, especially in Indiana. Not an excuse. I don't stand by what I said. I've said it a million times, but I shared it in my car. So obviously Caucasian people are a part of my stimuli. And I've told you guys this in prior videos. If you're Caucasian, I'm sorry. I truly apologize. Please check out my videos. And particularly that video I referenced at the beginning, the gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual part 1 video. And you'll hear more details about what happened and why I shared the stupidness that I shared. Anyway, so that's a part of my stimuli, Caucasian people. But then also women. Remember I told you to like to do that, especially young girls. They love doing that, making that stimuli. That's the one that enrages me more than the Caucasian one. The Caucasian one, even though that was a reaction, it was reactive abuse, and I think they're too hard on me for it, I still understand it more because I messed up with that. I literally sat there in my car and I shared offensive shit. So I never act out when they provide that stimuli because I get it. But when they do the young girl thing, like I'd be wanting to like slap somebody. It gets me so angry, especially because I know myself and I know what I like. And I'm like, these people don't know me at all. And it's so disgusting and annoying when they do it. It irritates me, especially when my machines, not my machines, let me not act like they're my machines. I don't own the machines in the gym. But when the machines that I want to use are being taken up because they're trying to gang stalk, that bothers me so bad. It's irritating. But let me just, I don't want to bear false witness here now, right? So let me be very clear about what happened and why I realized it was stimuli. Because I suspected it, but because I didn't know, I wasn't going to make the accusation. I was just going to ignore it and act like it wasn't there. But when what happened, this was where the confirmation came in, right? So I know I sound like I'm all over the place. So let me explain what happened. So I got to the gym like I always do, around the time that I usually go. The first time I worked out later in the evening because that was when I was able to get the car. And I noticed there were a lot more people in there at that time. You know, low-key was a blessing in disguise because there were some helpful people in there that showed me how to use the machines. So that low-key was a blessing in disguise, but not something I was trying to encounter every time I went there. You know, I'm a target already. It feels, you already know you're being stared at, you know, as a target. And then also I'm a shy, awkward person anyways. So typically I usually, even in the past when I had my gym memberships, because I've always been someone that's gone to the gym, y'all, just so you know, I had a Planet Fitness and I had a, YouFit membership when I was in the States, when I was in school for the second time. And even in my early 20s, I've always had gym memberships. There was one time when I was trying to do LA Fitness, but they're just way too expensive. But I've always had gym memberships. So I'm somebody that consistently goes to the gym and I'm always going when the crowd is less, when the crowd is thinned out. I've always been that way. So now as a target, you can imagine I'm really trying to go when the crowd is thinned out. I just, fear of gang stalking possibly happening. It hasn't been happening. Thank the Most High, only today. But fear of gang stalking happening. And then also too, just knowing that I'm being watched and stuff, you know, it just feels awkward. And I'm already shy. I'm already somebody that always has done that. So after that first time when I went there, right? And it was full of people, I realized I need to go earlier because I kind of suspected that would be the case. You know, people usually go to the gym after work. People typically work during the daytime. They're not like me working the night shift. You have a few people that do, but most people work during the daytime. So I noticed that if I go earlier, like around 12-ish, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, it's not as bad. You have like a few people, like 2 or 3 people in there, if that, but it's not really much people in there. And so this is the time where I usually try to go if I can. You know, now my mom teaches during the daytime and her vehicle is the vehicle that I use. So I use the car when I can. You know, and recently it's worked out where I've been able to go earlier. But if I have to go in the evening when more people are there, I'm going to do it because I want to get my workouts done. Like I'm so adamant about doing this thing that I will go there even if it's full and I feel awkward. I will still force myself to go, but I would rather not. So anyways, I went at the time that I've been going since that first time when I went in the evening. I've been going earlier and noticing that it's like thinned out. You barely see anyone in there. You might see one guy or 2 guys. That's it. I have never really seen girls in there like one lady I've seen in there. I don't really see women in there like that. Not to say women don't go in there. Let me not sound ignorant now. It's a gym. I know women go in there. But the times that I have gone, I have not really been seeing women in there like that. Like I said, once or twice, you know? So today now, I go in there at the time that I normally go in there. And I didn't really see like a bunch of women in there. There's like one girl in there. So that wasn't anything. I wasn't thinking that was stimuli. But I did see an elderly Caucasian man. And I was like, okay, well, maybe he's just in here working. I didn't automatically think stimuli. I just started my workout, right? I wasn't automatically thinking that. But then after I did my hack squats and I went over to do the leg press machine, I didn't notice that he was sitting there, and I'm very cognizant of my surroundings. Reason being, I'm a target. And even if before my targeting, I was that way, that's just the kind of personality I have. I have social anxiety, so I'm always feeling like everyone's watching me anyway. The scary thing about being targeted is your worst fears are confirmed. as someone with social anxieties. Everyone is watching you when you're targeted. So imagine that, being somebody that already always felt that way because of social anxiety. And then that's now confirmed you are being watched by everyone. That was just that moment then, right? Like I was being cognizant of my surroundings and I literally noticed him watching me as I went over to the leg press machine. So I thought that's normal. He's sitting there, he's working out with the dumbbells. So he could just be watching me. Automatically I always think stimuli when I see certain things because I know what they do. But at the same time, I was like, this still could just possibly be somebody that's here working out. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. He could just be watching me because I'm walking over there. And he might just know who I am because everyone on island does. So maybe he wasn't just there specifically for me. It could just be that he was just there working out and he knows who I am. He knows about the stupid shit I said and he's watching me. That's what's going on. But I went over and I just tuned it out, because I'm just like, I'm used to people staring at this point. And I went to work out and do my thing, right? So I'm doing my leg press thing. I even went and I did goblet squats, whatever. Just doing my workout, I'm just not going to let the stuff stop me, whatever's happening. So I did my goblet squats and he didn't say anything mean to me, nothing nasty, nothing like he didn't glare at me, nothing like, so if you're just watching me, you're not doing anything bad. I'm never going to be rude or disrespectful. It's only those gang stalkers that do the most, like do things like nasty things. This is where I have a problem. If you're just watching me, I understand. I'm the target. I get it. At this point, I'm used to it. So anyway, I did my little thing, right? And I went over to the leg extension machine, which was at a different part of the gym. So as I'm over there, before I get back to the Caucasian guy and why I kind of realized I think it was stimuli, but I'm still not certain. I have a feeling though. I went back out to the main part by the leg extension machine, right? And I'm doing my leg extensions. And so I noticed that as I'm doing the leg extensions, two girls come in. And, I'm looking at what's going on around me. Obviously, you look and you see when people come in the gym. And the leg extension machine is facing the actual front of the gym. And what's in front of me is three machines. So two, what is this thing called? Treadmills. And then one was like a bike machine. So I know people are going to come in and use that, right? But that has not happened yet. Since I've been working out at that time, that has not happened at the time that I go. Right? So I was sitting there doing the leg extensions. The two girls come in and I know what had happened the night before, right? And I know what happened at the house. And I know I had started looking into the targeted individual stuff. And I was looking at the fact that they usually target out strong women. So I was like, okay, maybe this is what's going on in the gym today now because of that. And not saying the owner is involved or anything like that. He's always very nice to me. I actually have like this kind of like camaraderie ship with him in a way. He's funny. I just think, the gym is open to everyone and gang stalking can happen, right? So I think this is what was going on. So anyways, I'm sitting there, and I think, whoever is running the program or whatever, not running it, really the people running it is in the mainland. But I mean, whoever is operating down here must have told them to come in and do this or do that, whatever. So because I'm sitting there doing the leg extensions, they come in, they hop on the treadmill, right? One on one side, one on the other side. I totally ignored it. I noticed it and I was just like, this is different, but I wasn't going to say anything like gang stalking. I suspected it, but I was like, I'm not going to bear false witness because I don't have absolute proof and this is a gym. Maybe they're just coming in to work out. I'm reasonable. Despite being targeted and knowing 90% of the time when you suspect something's going on, it usually is. I was just like, I'm not going to sit here because I don't have absolute proof and bear false witness. So I ignored them. And I continued to do my leg extensions, keeling over because it burned so damn bad. I told you guys about this in my prior videos. I feel like they'd be laughing at me when they're watching me because it's so bad. It burns so bad and I'm always keeling over. It hurts that damn bad. But I still get through it. And I'm doing a lot of reps too. I'm really working myself hard, y'all, like military level workouts. Like I'm doing 100 reps, leg extension, 50 pounds, half of them, 60 pounds the second half. Like I'm really doing some hardcore stuff in that gym. Like, and for the last 3 months too, when I was home, I was doing some hardcore workouts. Like really, this is why my body's looking how it's looking. I've been really training myself hard and just trying to get my health up from some of the things I encountered, like I told y'all last year where I lost the weight and all this stuff that happened to me. But then also too, they keep coming for my self-esteem and I've been looking busted and not like myself. And I wanted to look like myself again. And so I started taking care of myself. It's about the aesthetic and it's about my health too. Anyway, so I've been really going hard in the gym. So I just ignored them. I'm like, nothing that comes into this gym today is going to stop me from working out. And that was my mindset before I went to the gym. I was actually pleasantly surprised that I wasn't dealing with gang stalking like that in there because I thought I was going to be real with you. And I had already told myself in my mind that I was not going to let that stop me from doing my workout. And so this is how I felt today. With the stimuli, I was just like, I'm still gonna work out, right? So I was doing my leg extensions and my quads were on fire, and I was bending over, keeling over, dealing with the burning like I do every time. Then sometimes, I feel like I've heard a rev in the background, but I can't really tell because my earphones are usually so loud when it happens. So, anyways, I was just doing my workout and I'm sitting there just ignoring what's going on. And I sat there and I was ignoring them. And I think they weren't getting the reaction they wanted when the two girls came in. So then a third girl comes in now and she goes directly in front of me on the bicycle machine, right? And she's riding the bicycle machine and I still ignored it and continued to do my thing, right? With my legs, right? And I'm still just trying to get through these 100 reps while my quads are on fire. So while I'm doing that, when she gets on the bike and she starts riding the bike, all of a sudden the mosquitoes flying in my face. And so I got pissed, y'all, because I already suspected that they were gang stalkers, but I wasn't sure. And I don't want to bear false witness because this is a gym. And just like I have the right to come there and work out, everyone else does too. Just because I'm a target doesn't mean that you can't come to the gym. That's crazy. And I would never feel that way. So even though I suspected it might have been gang stalking, I was like, well, maybe this is just a change in routine. This is, not every time I come at this certain time is it going to be the same. This is a gym and I know different things will happen in here. And so realistically, I think that way. And I like to level out with myself, despite the incessant gang stalking and stimuli presentation, etc., that they do. But the mosquito flying in my face when she hops on the bike is what made me realize that they were likely gang stalkers. And so this is why I got so annoyed, right? And I said, you're just mad. I said, you thought that your little stimuli was going to stop me from doing my workout. You thought that I was going to get here and feel awkward and get up from my machine. I said, I'm going to get through my workout. I'm going to do it. I said, get out my face. I think I didn't say, I thought it, because remember, they can hear my thoughts. So it's almost as good as me saying it out loud. But I thought it because I know they can hear my thought. And so I thought, get the F out my face is what I thought. And then I started getting really irritated because it just, after I did that, it's like it irritated the mosquito. So it flew in my face again a second time when I said that. And I got mad and I said something derogatory about those girls. And I'm not 100% certain that they were gang stalkers. Again, 90% sure because of the mosquito flying in my face. 90% sure that was going on. And the fact that I had never seen them in there before. And then what happened with the Caucasian guy too, I'm going to get to that in a minute, is why I felt like it was gang stalking, but still no concrete evidence that that's the case aside from the mosquito flying in my face. So still I'm wrong in that regard and I can acknowledge that. Had the mosquito not flown in my face, I would have never said nothing about those girls. I would have ignored them and done my workout. Even with the suspicion that they could have possibly been gang stalkers, I would have never acted and I would have never said nothing, never done a video, nothing. I'm telling you, because I understand that this is a public gym and people are going to come in and work out despite my targeting. But it was the mosquito flying in my face that made me come to the conclusion that they were likely gang stalkers. And this was already out of sorts, me seeing, at this time. It was already out of sorts for me. It's a relatively small gym, y'all. Has a lot of good equipment, but it's a small gym. It's not like a big gym like that. It's one of those small, like private type of gyms, right? So anyways, so I remember thinking to myself, after it flew in my face the second time, because I started to cuss at it, I said, get the F out my face. When it flew in my face the second time, I said, you thought you would bring some bitches in and I would have a reaction. I said, I'm getting my workout done. Move. And I instantly felt bad after I said this, you thought you would bring some bitches in, because that's derogatory. And even if they were gang stalkers, like I suspect, I'm not trying to call anybody out their name. That's what I'm not trying to do. And I don't like the fact that this program keeps getting me out of character. It's so irritating. And then when I actually interacted with them later on, well, at least one of them, she was actually pleasant. She was pleasant. Whether she was a gang stalker or not, she was pleasant. So she was using the abductor machine. And I asked her, after I did my work, let me get to that. I'm going to get to that in a minute. And why also, I'm going to let you know why I think they were gang stalkers. I'm going to get there. More happened. So I'm almost certain they're gang stalkers. I'm telling you. But again, at the same time, I still feel bad for calling them out of their name, because that's not what I'm trying to do. But it's just the antagonization, constantly not getting a break from this thing, pushing a false, nasty ass narrative, the things they do. It's so irritating, especially when you know yourself. I'm very confident in my sexuality. I'm a confident woman. I'm a strong woman. And I think it intimidates a lot of people. And I think that's where the confusion comes in, because they're doing all this and they don't understand why I'm not busting apart. Why am I still going so strong? Why am I working out and building myself up? Why am I not falling apart? I think that's what the question is right now. And so I think it creates this urge to bust me down. And they do so much and they don't realize I'm still a human. Even though I'm not acting like I'm busting down, I am still human and you're doing a lot. And I have reactions sometimes because it's so irritating what they're doing. So anyways, this was the reaction. I was just so irritated and I was PMSing too and just wanting to get my workout done. Like, damn, I just want to work out, man. This is so irritating. Um, so anyways, that annoyed me more than the Caucasian stimuli. The Caucasian stimuli actually did not annoy me. It was more so just like, okay, this is happening. First of all, he wasn't using the machines I needed, and he was in his own little corner, right? So it didn't bother me as much. And then again, I understand that stimuli because that's something I did. I said something derogatory. The girl stimuli, they're just doing that to be nasty, and it gets me so mad. They're doing it to be nasty, and it gets me so angry. So anyways, um so after I used the machine and I got up, the extension machine, and I had that little moment with the mosquito, and I called the girls the bitches in my head, not out loud. I never said it to their face, and never even said it out loud. I just continued to do my workout, right? I had some workouts I needed to do in the back room. And the back room is where a lot of the leg machines are. They have a lot of them outside too. But that little back room is like meant for leg machines. There's a few other things back there that's mainly meant for leg machines back there, for leg workouts back there. So the girls migrated back there after they were on the machines or whatever, the treadmill or whatever they were on. They migrated back there, and I was like, oh goodness. I was like, please don't tell me they're using my, yeah, I keep saying my machines like it's my machines. They're not my machines at all. But it's like, please don't tell me they're using the machines I need to use, because I just want to use them and get out and get home. I just want to get home, right? So I lingered and I lingered and I lingered. I did every other workout I could possibly do outside in the outer shell, the workouts that I have planned for myself before going in the back room. And I noticed they were still back there. They were back there so long. I was like, oh my God. I was like, whoa. I was, because I'm already feeling irritated and like they're gang stalkers now because of the mosquito thing. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm literally trying to do like everything I can to give them time to use the machines and come out so I could get in there and use them. Even if they were back there and they weren't using the machines I needed, it wouldn't have been a problem, because eventually I did just venture back there and one of the machines I needed was available, and I just did my thing. I didn't care that they were back there. I did the thing that I normally do, but the other machine I needed was taken. But anyway, before I get there though, I did go back out to the main area and I started using the squat machine, the Smith machine. I usually don't even use that machine, but I realized recently that he had it, and I was like, well, I always wanted to try and use the Smith machine, so let me play around with that and see if I could do my Bulgarian split squats, because I split my workout up, y'all. I do most of my workout at the gym, and then I do my Bulgarian split squats with my homemade barbell at home, and I do some lunges at home. And so I started to kind of experiment with that. I went to experiment with that. But before I could do it, the Caucasian man, I noticed him just watching me, like before, like earlier, he was watching me. Like it seemed like he was observing me, right? And so the second time when I went over there, it seemed like the same thing. And then he actually walked up to me. He said, good afternoon. And he was very friendly. I said, good afternoon. He said, how are you doing? I said, I'm well. How are you? He said, I'm doing good. He said, I was wondering, can you show me how to use that machine you were using earlier? And he was just asking me how I use it. And I said, sure. So I took him over to the machine and I was showing him how to use it. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm getting it now. And I was just good interaction, right? It wasn't bad at all. He didn't have any nasty attitude. Very nice, right? So I had no issue with that. Even if that was stimuli, which I suspect it was, I feel like it was an observation. I feel like they wanted to see how I would interact with that stimuli, which I didn't mind because I don't have a problem with that stimuli. And I've said that numerous times. I don't stand by the things I shared in my car. I said that a million times. So I just helped him use the machine. I had no problem with that. That's the type of gang stalking I don't mind. It's the other annoying stuff with the girls that I just can't take it. It annoys me so bad. I just be wanting to slap somebody. And so I could even get out of character and might call somebody out their name. Not out loud. I would never do that. In my head, I would never to their face, even if they were obviously gang stalking, which it was obvious when I went back there. But obviously gang stalking, I'm never going to just straight up to their face say, bitch, I'm never going to do that. Never. But anyway, so I went back there and I was helping the elderly guy with the machine, and he got the hang of it, and that was that. That interaction was fine. I did not mind that interaction at all. So then I started like playing with the squat machine, the Smith machine, excuse me. I just doing extra stuff that I wouldn't have been doing just to give them time in the back room so I could get back there and use my machine and leave. And I wouldn't have mind going back there and using the machines with them had I not suspected that they were gang stalkers. But after the mosquito thing, like I was just like, this is too convenient. Right as I sit on the leg extension machine, they come in and they're using the machines in front of me. The whole time I was in the gym, they weren't in there. And again, too, around this time, I don't usually see girls in there. But again, it could have happened. It's a gym. It's a public gym. I get that. But right as I go to the extension machine, they come in and they're on the machines in front of me. Come on, man. And then the mosquito, the two girls came in, like I said, and I was ignoring them. But then they weren't getting the reaction. So then the third girl comes in directly in front of me on the bike machine. And then the mosquito flies in my face. Come on. When they weren't getting the reaction, I was like, this is gang stalking, clearly. Right. And so this is why I got irritated. And so it's just like, this is so irritating. But if they had just done that and not gone in the back room where I needed to go to use the machines and leave, I still would have just ignored it. I would have been annoyed and said the little, mean stuff I said to the gang, whoever's controlling the mosquito drone. I would have said my little piece, right? And then I would have shut up and I would have just went about my day and ignored it. But it's the fact that they migrated to the back room where I needed to be and was on the machines I needed to use. This is where I was feeling really irritated. I'm gonna be real with you. If I felt like they were real gym goers and they were using the machines, it wouldn't have been that level of irritation. The irritation was coming from the mosquito antagonization and the synchronization, the way that they came in and the machine's right in front of me, right as I went on the leg extension machine. It's just all too coincidental, especially with the mosquito. So anyway, um, after doing everything that I do outside, and realizing I needed to use the machines in the back, I was just like, oh boy, so I just went back there and I saw one of the machines were available. So I was like, okay, good. At least one of the machines are available. So I started using the machine, right? It's a kickback machine and it really works the glue suit, not to go off on a tangent. That thing really burns. So I was able to use that and get that workout done. And I had one more workout to do, y'all. And the three of them are like in the corner by that machine, and one was actually using the machine I needed. So I was just like, oh man, I was like, I just want to use the machine and go home. This is how I felt, right? I'm like, gang stalking, why? So I go outside and I didn't want to even tell her anything, really. I was just going to try and wait it out and see if they would be done. But it kind of seemed like they were chilling back there. They were back there for a good minute. I'm telling you, I was using all these different machines that I don't usually use, trying to give them the time to finish. But back then I realized they were not moving. I was like, okay, maybe they're waiting for me. This is what I felt, because I was like, it seems to be gang stalking is what I suspected. So anyways, I went back there and the girl that was on the machine, I actually just politely asked her. I was not going to be rude to her. I just politely asked her, when you're done with your machine, can you please let me know? And she said, okay, sure, no problem. I just have one more set. I said, okay, cool. So when she answered me like that and she was mannerful, that kind of lightened my mood, the annoyance I was feeling a little bit. So I went outside and I sat down and I was just waiting, and then she came out and she let me know she was done with the machine. So I went back there and I'm on the machine, right? It's a leg abductor machine. When I was in there the first time, right, the girl that was sitting directly next to the machine, she was sitting there not really doing much. She was kind of like looking like she was stretching her legs or whatever, but she wasn't doing much of anything. She was more so just sitting there and they looked like they were talking and stuff, right? As soon as I get on the leg abductor machine, she starts doing all of this stuff on the mat next to me. Right now, I'm not watching her, but I can see she's right next to me, right? She starts doing all this stuff on the mat, like she's bending down and have her butt up in the air, and she's doing this and she's doing that. And I'm just like, whoa, this is the most. Like, I'm just like, because I'm already feeling like they're gang stalkers at this point. So I'm like, she's doing all of this stuff on the mat as soon as I come in here and sit next to her. She wasn't doing it before. But as soon as I sit down at the machine, I was like, this is gang stalking. It was comical at that point. At that point, I was no longer annoyed. The annoyance had kind of dwindled off. And I was more so now just doing my last workout and ready to leave. But I actually burst out laughing a little bit. I didn't mean to, but she's just started doing the most on this mat. I was just like, could they be more obvious? I'm just like, this is hilarious. And I'm like, doesn't she feel a little bit awkward? The fact that the cameras are here because, everyone's watching like it's a movie. She's doing this and they're watching. I'm like, didn't she feel a little bit awkward? I'm like, okay, obviously not. Right? So I continue with my workout and I just ignored it. Right? And then this older, not elderly, she was an older lady, middle age, not elderly, let me not say that. But like this middle-aged lady walks into the room, right? So when someone walks in the room, you look up? That's normal. I look up when the lady walks in the room. The mosquito couldn't wait to fly in my face away because I think they thought I was going to be having an awkward reaction to what this girl was doing to the left of me because she was doing the absolute most as soon as I sat next to her. But I was really just ignoring her and doing my workout. And I wasn't having a reaction. But I think as soon as the lady walked in, I looked up and I watched her walk in. They couldn't wait for a moment because they wanted my head to turn and look at the girl. But I was looking at the lady walk into the room. And so when the lady walked into the room, the mosquito flew in my face quick. And so I thought in my head, I said, you couldn't wait for me to turn my head, huh? I said, I was just looking at the lady walk in the room like a normal person does. I said, again, stop your bullshit. I'm going to finish my workout. I don't care what you have set up in here. I'm going to finish my workout. I didn't say it. I'm telling y'all said, but I thought the thought in my head. Now, if you're not familiar with my story, all of this is going to be foreign to you. You're not going to understand the stimuli. So please listen to my story and understand what was insinuated from the text that I sent and how they actually created this disgusting narrative and started doing some weird stuff because of the text I sent. And understand why that would be irritating and why her doing all the stuff she was doing as soon as I sat by her that she wasn't doing before. Understand why this is disturbing, right? But for me, it wasn't really disturbing. I just thought it was funny. And also, too, they weren't really being nasty about it. They were actually it's not like some gang stalkers are really like mean and nasty. So even though she's doing all this extra stuff on her mat, I guess for a reaction, whatever, to me, that was comical. But they were not nasty towards me, especially that one that had the machine. She was very polite. And so that's what kind of lightened my mood, too, and why it just became more comical than anything else. So anyways, I finished my workout and I couldn't help it. I kind of like laughed a little bit because it's just like it was hilarious everything that was being done on this mat next to me. You don't even understand. Anyway, so that I got up and I left the gym, and I left the gym. You know, it's funny because they keep trying to provide this stimuli, like they understand what I like, and or they're trying to create something, this false narrative to kind of come from my sexuality. And I know they do that to a lot of targets. They have no idea what I like. There is something in that gym that I like, and it's not that, and it's not a female either. I did actually have a crush on somebody in that gym, and it's not that. So they have the wrong idea completely. So anyway, I just thought that was hilarious. But I just left, you know, my mood lightened, you know, after I had that interaction with the girl and she wasn't nasty about giving me the machine. That lightened my mood. And I just left and I bust off and I came home. But I just want to document everything, man. Y'all, it's been like wild. Like from last night or this morning, whatever, when I worked up until now was just a lot of craziness. And I want to document it. I don't even know how long this video is, y'all. It's no doubt longer than I wanted it to be. I bet I'm gonna see 2 hours. My God, 2:30? Oh my. This is what happens, y'all. I'm telling you. So much happens with this program. If you're a target, you know what I'm talking about. So much happens with this program. There's so much to talk about and unpack. That when I make a video, I could talk for hours. I know I really mean what I said in the last video. I mean it for this video. You probably won't see a video from me for a while, unless something like, again, really outrageous happens that I feel like I need to document. And even still, I think I might not document because I've had enough with making these kind of videos. It's just too much. So unless I absolutely have to defend myself about another crazy thing, you're not going to see another video from me for a few months if the most it spares my life. The next video I'll come with is another update video on camera, letting you guys see what my progress has been from the video I posted last month to a few months from now. So it'll just be like an update video. I might come with a career update or something positive, upbeat, something like that. But hopefully, you know, no more targeted individual videos. So you might not see content from me for a few months, y'all. But I just want to document, you know, what happened to me this, like, you know, since work last night up until now, and just kind of talk about some of those situations. This is crazy, man. Anyways, I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace out.